Hello, Ryan.
Hello. Hello, Internet. Hello,
So
everybody.
thanks for coming along, Ryan. So I was hoping you'd explain some things about the tarot.
Oh, the tarot. It is an interesting subject.
It's a
Actually,
card game, right?
I saw that you'd put up a video with your French friend. What's he called?
Simon.
Simon. And I asked you what he'd spoken about, because obviously Simon is French and you are fluent in French. It's very impressive, by the way. I pretend not to be impressed, but it's very impressive. And from what I could ascertain from what you said and from what I watched of the video translated and the slides he had, he's got like a deep but I would say contemporaneous idea of what the tarot is. And so I just want to, I'm not actually going to disagree with anything that he said probably, but I'm going to take it further. But I would say the one thing that really takes it further is a fundamental disagreement, even though I just said I wouldn't disagree, but this whole thing's a paradox. And that is that it isn't just a card game, and that these things weren't developed, as we know, anybody that actually knows tarot, it starts off in northern Italy and then makes its way to France and other such places where the symbology seems to be changed. And then it makes its way to Britain, where it seems to be further changed. And then we have modern tarot.
Yeah.
This isn't the case. My point is that it was actually always there, all this stuff. I'm going to flesh that out today and just show that actually those changes in Marseille and in London were essentially fleshings out of what's actually there. And what's actually there is this very, very ancient astrotheology, animism, Saturn worship, some Stone Age cool stuff, maybe antediluvian, probably antediluvian.
So I'm
not going to prove that here, but I am going to show.
I have some cards here, for example, this one, and this is the moon, and there are some symbols on this that maybe aren't obvious. Well, that aren't there on the Italian decks. So you're saying that some of the symbolism or all of the symbolism from the French cards is already there in the Italian decks.
Right? So the ideas are there, not the symbols. The ideas are there.
Yeah. And that's fair enough, because it's like when something is esoteric, you have to read into it what you associate with it.
Simply put, the moon card is the moon goddess. Everything that to do with the moon is inherent in the moon goddess. So the moon being the subconscious, and that being a map of the subconscious, the card that you just showed, these things are already there. So that's a great way to start.
And they knew about the subconscious, did they, in those days? And so we're back to the 15th century, is that right? It's 15th century Renaissance.
Yeah, well, I'd say they knew about it a lot longer than that. All these things, these ideas are fleshed out from Freud and Jung, who notoriously got everything that they knew from mostly the occult, even though Freud warned against the tide of occultism, just because clearly he was using it for his own devices. And had only read so far. He only got as far as that sexual force idea that's inherent in the Leo card. Jung took it even further. Jung took it much further. I'd still say Jung was missing a few bits as well, but
Oh, that would be really interesting as well to look into. So you, according to you, some of the elements that gave Freud and Jung their theories are contained in the cards and were there all along.
Oh, absolutely. Jung's what's the I forget the modern name for it, but there's a MTG or something like that. It's a personality type that's based on 4. So the 4 and the 4. Yeah, it's elemental. And you get 4 letters assigned to you. Well, that's from Jung, and that's from tarot. Those are the 16 court cards, and the meaning absolutely applies to those 16 court cards. It's the same thing. So Myers-Briggs is actually called the Myers-Briggs personality test. Yeah, and it's more like how are you now? Yeah, it's less like who are you, but who are you right now? How are you feeling right now?
Okay. And so, in addition to helping us understand personalities and the subconscious and all these things, can you also explain like the whole universe, or can what else can we expect to find in these cards?
Well, the whole secret of the ancients, and we'll see that quite soon, is that the symbols and the secrets are the cosmology. Mm-hmm. And if you understand the fineries of the cosmology, then there are your secrets. They are maps, literally maps of psyche, maps of consciousness. And the universe is put together in this kind of hermetic model of the universe. Everything's mind. So the formation of consciousness is exactly the same as the formation of the universe. There you go. There's some depth to start with.
It is. And well, one last tiny question before we get going with your images. How did you get started in all this? Like, how did you get to know all this?
I can't ever tell the truth. I've told you before on these things. It always descends into... So I got poorly. I was searching. So forget the poorly. So as a younger man, I was very scientifically oriented, as most young men have to be because of the makeup of you know, the nature of the hormones there. You just left brain. It's just the way you are. So, but I had this gut feeling that the universe was somehow based on sound. I looked into science. It has indications of that, but not really. So then I was listening to Terence McKenna talking about ayahuasca shamans seeing sound as they sang their Icaros. They have these little songs that they sing, and he said you can see it. I'm like, oh, come on then, let's try something a bit different and see if I can get any insights to this weird gut feeling that I've got. So as I said, I've been very poorly, so this came at the end of that illness as kind of also a way to help heal myself and fix myself. And so it turned out, you know, I can't get ayahuasca. It was mushroom season. The hills at the back of my mother's house are the Pennines, one of the best places in all of Europe to go and find them. Found them, ate them, had the religious experience, being anti-religious, completely anti-religious, had the religious experience, had the oneness, had lots of downloads. In those downloads was the tarot. I followed these things and I found the sound stuff. I found the nature of the universe stuff. I found the mushrooms. I found everything else. And it was all in tarot and alchemy and these ancient occulted arts. And again, it seems to be, they're saying it's antediluvian. And you can find it at Göbekli Tepe, so it might well be.
Okay, that's great. Okay, let's have a look at some of your images, shall we?
Let's talk about tarot.
So, let me see if I can share the screen. No, it don't want me. Hang on a second. Ah, damn it. Hang on. Why is this not working? Remove other media streams from the stage. No. It was working just now. Hang on. This is why we don't go live.
This is why we don't go live.
Right.
Hey, okay, now, that's going to work. Hey!
Do you see that?
Yeah, I can see it.
Yay, that's great. Okay. So, the Fool. This is your first image. So, you've got a Fool with loads of crisscross lines.
Yeah. That's just how he is. No. Basically, you got to imagine the printing press has just been made and wood blocks only last so long, so we're going to have to reproduce these images. So, you know, we need a template by which to draw these things. Now, the tarot has secret things we'll find out later, and this is actually a secret thing. But just for now, just as an idea, pins in a board, string it up, and those give us the lines so that we can easily recreate it to the same measurements. We've got a standard, basically, by which to do things. There we go. Just that idea. This will come out again later on, and we'll see just how fantastic this is. But right now, it's just a concept. Next image, please.
Right, we're on the next one, and now we have some lines outlining the main features on the image.
So I've just got rid of the extraneous lines, and I'm just showing you that, you know, you got to think there's a wood carver as well here, and then the wood grain's not going to give you cleanest the cleanest of lines. But we can see how those strings with the extraneous parts taken away gives you the outline. And that geometry was basically a 7-sided geometry, and any other geometry that you try, 8 or 6, just the angle's too far off these and just doesn't work out. So that's
interesting.
Yeah. So there you go.
Okay, now we have a few images here from various decks.
Yeah. So just like a bit of the 3 brands. If we go from top left, the first 3 cards going horizontally. Those are the original Italian. I think that's the Dodal deck. Yeah, Jean Dodal. From France, there's another variation, and then one of the third variations from Britain, which is the Rider-Waite deck, the most popular deck. So any cards I talk about subsequently will almost always be from the Visconti Sforza deck, the original deck, unless I indicate otherwise, or the card isn't extant, or there never was such a card made, because the amount of cards and the order of cards changes. Some of them don't. Some sets stay the same. The first 4 or 5 cards, they stay the same, and then from the star through to the sun, they stay the same. Through to the end, actually, they stay the same. But there's some shifting around in the middle while they settle. But there is. I think there was an order originally. It's just that people didn't understand what gave it the order. So we'll go into that in a moment. But anyway, so there are various cards from various decks throughout time. Easy peasy. Next slide, please, lest we get caught up. So, yeah. So the whole idea is it a game? Chill, it's only a game, bro. Versus, no, it's full of the magics. And I'm going it's full of the magics. It was a game too. It was a game too,
yeah. But a game with a lot of meaning.
Yeah, lots and lots of meaning in there. I mean, I remember one of the first written things we have about the tarot is they're gambling with these cards, and they contain the gods. Some Christian priest getting annoyed because he can see that even though it says the priest, the Pope, the Emperor, and things like that, he's realizing that's Jupiter and the other gods.
Yeah.
So if we go over the cards quickly, do you want to read this?
Right. The game of Tarocchi Trionfi.
Tarocchi, you got to do this. Tarocchi
Trionfi. So you have here, the origin is in the Mamluk cards. What's that, the Mamluk cards?
So the Mamluk Empire was a Islamic occupying force in Egypt. So that's where the original game came around. And it was just a deck of cards as we know it, with an extra suit, essentially. Not with an extra suit, with an extra court card on there. So we have like King, Queen, Jack. Well, they had King, Queen, Jack, Jackette, like a serf, whatever. So, yeah, the origins there. They were playing these games, but also you got to think the French and the printing press and the original producers of such things were like these Templar families, basically, these southern French folk. So the original deck that I'm mostly going to be talking about here was a wedding gift between the Visconti and the Sforza families in northwestern Europe, Italy. And there was a lot of money there in those days. And because the last vestiges of what had been the ancient world were falling with Constantinople, all what had been priests were becoming merchants, but they had things to sell. They had documents and things like that. And this is famously what kicked off the Renaissance, the transfer of these documents from places like not just Constantinople, but wherever the money was, so those documents went to. It was called Tarocchi and Trionfi. Tarocchi, nobody knows. I know what it is because I'm a smarty person, but we'll reveal this to you later. triomphe is like the triumphs, the trumps, like top trumps.
Right.
So obviously there were these processions that they used to have, and with the archetypes on there, whether it was like the archetype of triumph, of war, of death, of whatever, they're like carnival floats. But also it kind of really happened more in art. It was this idea that the Romans had these processions, and then it got replicated in medieval art, and you'll see them. They're quite famous. As for tarocchi, we'll find out later. I promise you, it's really cool. It involves gematria and a bit of symbology in it.
Okay.
It's very cool.
Okay.
So triumph meaning success in battle, also spiritual victory, and a procession celebrating a victory in war. Depictions of well-known cultural hierarchs and concepts of the time: fool, pope, wheel of fortune, death. Very medieval.
Yeah.
You know, it's mostly celebrated in medieval times, but all coming from that ancient world. There's very little evolution of these things, really.
Yeah. So the Wheel of Fortune is a well-known image, like in medieval times. It's well-known. So this idea that you can go up in life and you can come back down again.
Yeah, there's a whole. It is actually a fantastic, simple way of looking at life, and helps you to hold on a bit more easily if you are struggling. It is a really good philosophy, I think, that Wheel of Fortune philosophy. Although a bit fatalistic as well at the same time. So the game itself is top trumps mixed with, you can see that word there, SH1T. Yeah. I say these things all the time, but not today.
Not today.
Not today. Mixed with shithead. Whoops.
Everything is allowed now.
Yeah, it is. You can even say the F word within the first minute on YouTube. 2v2, as in there's two players against two players. Many variations still played all over Europe, except Britain and Spain, because of lack of intelligence. And there's a simplified, that deck simplified became the European card deck as we know it, not the Mamluk cards. The Mamluk cards transformed to tarot. Tarot kind of re-simplified into just normal cards. And you can see that because we maintain the Joker card. Okay. That's the Fool. Yeah, the Joker was the Fool. So the Mamluk cards didn't have a wild card in there. There you go.
All right. So you have to go via Italy. Like you can't bypass Italy in the history
of tarot. No.
Yeah.
No, there was rumors that it came from Egypt because of the Egyptsies. But as far as everyone can tell, it was just they liked them or had similar things going on, not that they invented them. I think the idea there was that the Egypt part of the gypsies was that kind of, it's a sort of hermetic knowledge, if you get me, like Alexandrian, Egyptian kind of stuff.
Sure, yeah. All right, let's go to the next one. So what are the ancient mysteries?
Oh, I just wanted to say on that last page, it still says
the
trumps. That's all right.
I'm rushing you.
We should rush though. The trumps are very complex for such a simple game, having no special function apart from the Fool. So you've got all these like top trump cards in there, but they don't do anything. The Magicians doesn't do anything different to the High Priestess or the World card. It's like, what's that about then? Why would you do that? You wouldn't do that unless it seemed highly suspicious, which it does. So, yeah, let's rush ahead. So, what are the ancient mysteries? The mysteries are death, rebirth, sex, drugs, harmonic maths. What it is really a tracing of the life force from the supernal realm into you. That's really what the mysteries are, and certain technologies around that. Which are these? It's an analogy: sex, death, rebirth. They're analogies for interactions for this life force and the states of consciousness that you enter in order to be able to do these magical things, whatever magic means. Make changes, basically. So they took these death, rebirth, sex, drugs, harmonic maths concepts, put them into stars and calendars. Actually, not so much put them there, but took them from there, read them up there and analogized down here. The rites of the old pagan god Saturn, and the poles and serpents are used as exemplars of the innermost secrets. So, it's a hologramic representation of psyche through calendrical cosmic maps, as above, so below, all about time, birth, death, cycles. B, they are a methodology of gaining temporary immortality. Those are very important. By the use of drugs, sex rites, meditation, gnosis. Sex is brought in because it's this polar life force and you're trying to get to meet each other. So actual sex naturally, but also the analogy of sex is just so apparent now. You're dealing with the masculine and feminine force. For gnosis. So if you get into the right mind state, you can have prophecy. And, as they saw it, I'm not saying this is totally real. I might be practicing these things even, but I'm not saying they're totally real. That would be wrong. And healing, like laying on of hands kind of thing, and psychological healing particularly. The exemplars of the poles used secretly by Sumerians, Persians, Chinese, Jews, Mayans, Masons, Templars, alchemists, taroists, cartomancers. And D, when the poles are combined with calendars, a sacred mathematics is revealed, used in ancient architecture, music, and time. Okay. And obviously, a lot of magical operations are to do with time. And a lot of building magical places are to do with longitude and latitude, which is a form of time. How is it positioned in time? What time do you start it? There's so many things. Okay.
And you've got the god Saturn, which is a god of time.
The god of time, Kronos.
And you've got the poles. So the significance of the poles is this kind of circular motion.
Yeah, well, it'll all come out. So next
slide. Okay, here we go.
Yeah. So I want to show the ancient cosmos is the psyche, as we discussed before, is the body, the mind. It's all the same thing. So on the right, that's a Manly P. Hall image of the ancient cosmos, starting with your Virgilian, 9 layers of hell, which is that traffic cone at the bottom. How is it? 9 layers, 7 layers, however many it is.
Manly P. Hall, the famous Freemason.
Sorry, say it again.
Manly P. Hall, famous Freemason.
Famous honorary 33rd degree Freemason, works it all out in himself. And the more I read that, his magnum opus, The Secret Teachings of All Ages, it's so good. He doesn't tell you everything. He leaves a little between the lines, but it's so good. It's like he knew everything in his 20s. Fantastic stuff. Anyway.
So book recommendation.
And it's like that as well. It's huge. Excuse me. So this is essentially a map of the life force coming down from, you could call that God, the real God at the top, the unknowable, these discs descending in, and everything's a reflection of these layers of eternity, as it were. Then you get the imperial realm that comes out in that fiery triangle with the rose in it. The triangle's like the platonic realm of ideals, where it's actually energy now and it's forming into structures, and that the intelligence within those structures, there's certain things you can accomplish with a triangle, certain things you can accomplish with a hexagon or a circle, and those implicit intelligences beam through into reality, causing these cool mathematical things, which are kind of represented by that Rosicrucian rose in the middle, which is also in Dante's Inferno. And each petal is like, so there'll be like 12, often it's represented with 12 petals around the outside the zodiac, then 7 for the 7 planets. So you've got this same blossoming of the rose beneath it, where we can see the symbols for the 12 planets, and the signs of the zodiac would be within that band of stars around the outside. And then you get the earth, you get this idea of like a Mount Meru or a pole, a mountain, a mountain navel, and then it goes through to hell. So each is a reflection of the next, through these stages.
Mm-hmm.
And then
the rose and Dante, that brings us back to Italian Renaissance again. So it's 15th century, isn't it? So that's all from that.
I think Dante's Inferno is really early, isn't it? I think it's earlier than
even earlier.
I'm going to have a quick look on the internet.
I have got it on my as an audiobook at the moment, but I keep falling asleep, and I've no idea what circle of hell I'm in at any given time. But it's very good.
Yeah, I haven't actually read it. Dante's Inferno, 14th century.
14th century, yes. So that's even earlier.
Yeah.
So this is even earlier. Okay.
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it? Oh,
yeah.
Let me get back to my phone.
And then the circles, so these concentric circles, this is very Platonic, isn't it? In Timaeus, Plato describes the creator, the demiurge, and how he's putting everything into motion. And there's one circle going one way, and all the other circles are going another way, and one for each planet. And one.
Those are the orbs, yeah. Those are the rotations, the rotors, the orbs, the spheres. The things not causing the music, but being played. They are the vibratory. They're what's visible of those vibrations of the harmony of the spheres. They are being vibrated. That's what they're doing. Much like atoms.
Yeah.
So we can take this cosmology, plant it onto the human body and the human psyche. That is actually more, the map on the right is actually more cognizable as a map of psyche than anything else, than even an outer cosmology. Like the moon is the subconscious. Above that, you got the symbol for Mercury, which is the intellect. Then above that, you've got Venus, which is the sensations and the kind of wants and needs of the body. And you can... There's these layers of psyche that peel away as you make this mystical journey that is the mystery traditions up to that realm at the top, trying to get prophecy from this imperial realm where all the ideas are kept, where everything's already happened because it's all time all at once.
And it's arranged in a spiral, which is interesting on the body in the image on the body, left-hand side.
But equally, you can also see that it's a ladder up the spine.
Okay.
Yeah, starting at the moon there, and then going through the planets. It's a ladder up the spine, and that you'll see later is the same as it is in Kabbalah with the tree of life, which is again an energy map up the body. There are always energy maps up the spine, which we'll get into later as well. So if we go on to the next image,
reminds me of, I know it's supposed to be symbolic, but it just reminds me of the back of the Antikythera
mechanism. Yeah.
Anyway,
right, yeah, okay, I dig it. Well, they are the wheels of time. It's a cosmological device.
Yeah.
As above, so below.
Yeah. Okay, next one.
Yeah, next one. So what I'm trying to prove here is that in those original cards is this cosmology. If this cosmology is in the cards, then the secrets that are brought out in later tarots are that cosmology. So there's it's already there. It's just, is it fleshed out more and told more, or is it not? So I'm going to show the ancient cosmos psyche, this Platonic Pythagorean, well, it's just the ancient world conception of it's the wisdom tradition.
Okay.
It's this singular map that describes everything. And these the cosmos and calendars. So there are 78 cards, 21 major arcana, 1 fool, 16 court cards, 40 number cards, and 4 suits in total. Now, playing with these numbers, we quickly can arrive at calendrical numbers. So if we take the 4 aces or the 4 suits, you get the 4 seasons. We've got 40 number cards, minus 4 aces is 36. Take the number cards, take the 4 aces out. They do behave differently than the other number cards. So it makes sense. You get 36, 360 deacons, degrees in a circle. 360, 36 plus the 4 aces again and 1 fool. You got 365 days a year. Take the fool away, the wild card. You got 364 days in a lunar year. 36, those 36 cards plus the 16 court cards, you get the 52 weeks of a year. And on, you just... there are more even than I've put here, but you can quite easily play with these base numbers and get calendrical numbers.
Absolutely, yeah. So the numbers are definitely important.
Yes, absolutely. Well, it's a calendar. They are the star signs. They are the zodiac signs, but we'll show this. So basic to the Pythagorean number philosophy is the first 4 numbers. He loves the number 10. but you get there through the first four numbers, because 1 + 2 + 3 + 4 = 10. So you can get there. So numbers have meaning. I'm going to go through it quickly. We know them: fire, water, earth, which is actually 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1 is the individual, the singularity, the number that makes up all of the numbers. It can go up into infinity, or it can go down into infinitesimality. So you could think, there's the numbers that go onwards forever, and there's the numbers between the numbers, like 1.112 is an infinitesimal number, and that's actually, there's more of those than there are of the other numbers that count up. Anyway, so number 1, there we go. And it's like, in context of the rest of the cards and the rest of the numbers, number 1 is like an index. It is it makes up all the other cards. It makes up all the other numbers, but isn't the other numbers. So it's like a reference point, but not, if 1 has a quality, it's not the same as the quality of the other numbers. You get me?
Yeah.
Number 2, Pythagoreans famously were like, no, number 2, we hate you, number 2, because you've caused division away from that 1. It's not 1 and another 1, it's 1 divided into 2. So they didn't like that. But to this masculine 1, you get the feminine 2. And that is the other. That is chaos to order. That is feminine. That is space to energy. That is a matrix to energy, even more than that. It is somewhere that the energy can rest. The energy of that 1 can kind of rest into, and the rest of the numbers. So when that 1 and 2 get together, they couple up, because it's a male and a female. The male kind of peels away. The lady gets pregnant into number 3. Number 3, the reason why number 3 exists in this ideal is that number 1 and number 2 have come together, and that by their conversation, by their intercourse, there's a third thing that happens, which is the system of them both together. So we've got a 1 and another 1, and this system between them both. Like you and I having a conversation, you tell me something, I go, oh, right, okay, I take that in, I'm changed by it, and then I tell you something, you're changed by it. We got this. I'm in a system with you, and it's constantly changing between these 3. And what happens is, after that third thing comes into existence, this me-you system, then a 4th thing happens, which starts the cycle again. You tell me something, I go, oh, actually, I changed my mind there. I'm a new Ryan. I tell you, you know what I mean? So that's 4. There we go. That's also fire, water, air, and earth. Fire being like consciousness, willpower, that energy, that oneness that powers everything. 2 would be the matrix, as I said a minute ago. Water, kind of mind, matrix, a mind, something like that. Number 3 is air, which is symbolized by a sword. And that is because air is like the intellect. It's this volatile thing made of fire and water. Well, that's the intellect. Yin and yang. Yes, it is. No, it isn't. Logic gates. And swords split things in 2. So that's the intellect. The intellect goes around cutting things up. Language goes around cutting things up. And then we got earth, which is the 4th thing, which is everything gets cycled round again. These 3 principles feed into everything and cycles round again. Those first 3 principles in astrology and tarot are very important and are called cardinal, fixed, and mutable. Cardinal is like a fire beginning something. Fixed is that thing in its element doing what it does. And mutable is that thing changing from one thing to another, which describes everything that ever happened. So,
wow. So the number 4, or at least having 4 of these different suits, is really important.
Yes, because it is. Look, okay, perhaps the ancients believed that things were made of 4 elements, but they certainly saw that these were the 4 primary archetypal categories. That all things in existence can fit into these things, and that by simplifying your thought structure and giving a system by which to imprint all knowledge, as it were, all wisdom, that you can simplify everything in your life and have a kind of a leg up at the same time. And it just makes thinking more easy, a lot more easy.
So it's a way of classifying. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's in the beginning people genuinely thought that everything was made of fire, earth, water.
I can't tell you that.
Mm.
I don't know. I'm not
Yeah.
an ancient person. Certainly some people thought that, but some people think everything, you know.
Well, that's true. I mean, like this, like, yeah, you can believe anything and you're allowed to. That's fine. But it's just interesting to think that, you know, it could have come originally from just a way of classifying rather than a way of describing everything as made of earth, made of air, like in the way that we understand it.
Yeah. And it seems to be used most for that. If these, like language and society and civilization, these things come from magicians. They come from shamans and magicians and priest kings. This is where it all comes from. It's not from, you know, administrators who are the backbone of everything. But it's not. It's from the guys inventing language. And who's that? It's the wizard priests.
The wizardry. Yeah. Well,
next slide, please. Right. So those 4 elements are redescribed in the major arcana as well as in the minor arcana, as we just saw. I'll do this quickly. So the first 4 cards, known in modern days as the magician, the high priestess, the empress, and the emperor. Back in those days, he was a scribe and she was a poetess. So the scribe is the number 1. He's the index. He's the thing waiting to write the story. He's not generating his own stuff. He's told what to write and then he writes it. He's got all his accoutrements on the table, and those are the things necessary for him to do his scribal work. They are a knife, that air sword. He's got some little discs of ink. Mm-hmm. That's your earth. He's got a cup, water, full of water, and he's got his writing implement, which is a wand, which is fire. He's also got a sponge, which is the 5th element, but that's a secret element. A lot of people kept thinking that was a hat, but they'd have a sponge to wipe.
Okay.
Yeah, they'd have a sponge to wipe them. So he's the index. He is the number 1. He's the number 1 waiting to visit all the other characters. He's unfulfilled as of yet, but he has everything there that's needed to fulfill the rest. He's that Pythagorean 1.
Okay.
Which
so
then
he stands apart.
He stands apart, yeah. But he is all of them. He stands apart on one side of him, but he is all the other numbers. Number 3 is just 1, 1, and 1.
Okay.
If you get me?
Mm-hmm.
So he's the index at the beginning of a book. He's all the contents, but none of the information.
Okay.
If you get me? He's the titles only. He's not visited. He's not become the rest of the tarot yet on this fool's journey. So the number 2 was a female. This divine female that is the other, which fuels the universe. Basically, you got a yin and a yang, and that's the potential for work. The potential difference between them creates work, and that's how the universe runs. And, you know, that's as much in electronics as it is physics. You know, it's everywhere. You know, in life, if there's not a deficit, you got no reason to go and do something. So she's that number 2. The number 1 and the number 2 get together into that 3rd system. Basically, she gets pregnant. And what do we have on the 3rd card there? The Empress. She's a pregnant lady. She's the Queen Mother that births the rest of the people. And then number 4 is the Emperor. He stands at the top. He starts again. He's that 4th thing. He can get to the number 10. There's this Pythagorean number philosophy is the reason for the cards and is what gives them the structure. And as it goes on, so when you get to the number 10, you start to do gematria on it and get a root number from that. So 1 plus 0 is 1 again. So the magician and the 10th, it's stages. That's what I mean to say. It's the like levels.
So you go back to 1. Is that right? When you reach 10, you go back to 1?
Yes. So you've gone back to 1, but it's a level up. So card
wait,
11.
so there's like a classification, so like a table.
Yes. So, for example, card 2 is the High Priestess. Card 11 is Justice. And and you go, whoa, those two cards are very similar. Well, card 2, the High Priestess, is the number 2. And if you add 1 to 1 for the card 11, it is number 2. So it's that same principle, just a level up or a level different or a different classification, the same thing.
So it's important to look at the deck in terms of like each card in relation to the other cards, where they are, and Quick question sorry, go
because on. What we're doing is a kind of alchemy of poetry and rhyming the cards, and you know something by what it's not, which is what its opposite is. So by referring, everything stands in the presence of its opposite, everything. So by comparing all these opposites, as it were, around a wheel, like the wheel of the zodiac is a series of opposites, then you can know the thing. It's this polar life force, which is duality. So understanding in the previous slide, we saw that you can take the amounts of cards in the major arcana, minor arcana, court cards, and compare and contrast and get the calendrical numbers out of it. Well, on this one, we get something a bit deeper. You realize quite quickly that the 21 cards of the tarot, plus a fool, are divided into 3 lots of 7. There are a few bridges in there, but you get to the chariot and then, whoa, we've leveled up here. There's something else going on. The nature of the chariot is that he's like an octave of 7 notes, and he's kind of like got everything together to go on to that 8th octave, the first note of the next octave up. Yes. So you got 3 of that, which is 3 lots of 7. Well, 22. There's 22 cards in the major arcana. 22 over 7 is what the ancients choose for pi. So again, we're getting a wheel here.
Yes, that's amazing.
Yeah. So let's go on to the next. And there's lots of stuff like that.
Okay.
Right. So just to further show that the cosmology is in these cards right from the beginning, and then we got the Visconti Sforza and a French Jean Dodal card there. So the Fool it's an esoteric thing, or it was, but this is more commonly known these days, that the Fool is Orion. Did you know that? As a
I think Simon had mentioned that in his, because I'm also doing his class, his course. I'm doing a course with him, and but possibly you had mentioned that. So yeah.
So it's more well known, just as a start, because it becomes much more esoteric and difficult for people to understand or ascertain later on. But we can start with the Fool card. So Fool in Hebrew is Kesel. Kesel in Hebrew is the name of the Orion constellation. So Fool.
So, yeah. The link is pretty clear with the name. Because on the earlier one, on the Visconti Sforza card, you can see a little bit more the usual Orion pose, which is like one arm like this and one arm up above with the often the sword. If it's St. Michael, he's like got a sword up there like that.
Yeah. So taking those, because they've got to be slightly occulted, because we're dealing with the occult here, so they're not going to be absolutely forward. However, it is the Fool. We can see on the French card where I'm saying it's just been brought out a little more. That there's, I think it's actually an ocelot that's biting his bum. It's something like that. It's not actually a dog, but it's biting his bum. And on most of the cards, it's pulling his willy out, which we'll come to in a minute. So we can see, if we look at the constellation Orion on the left, we can see that there's a red line that points to Sirius. What's Sirius called? What's another name for Sirius? The dog star. Yeah, the dog star. So that's the dog nipping at his bottom. We further know it's the Fool, even on this Visconti Sforza card, because we can see his pubic hair and his a little hint of penis there, which is on most of the original Fool cards, his willy's hanging out. Okay, can you?
And this connects us to the dog in what way?
Well, actually, the dog's ripping down his trousers and his willy's coming out on the ones with the dog in it.
Yeah.
On other ones, it might be kids pulling his trousers down,
okay.
or they're just falling down on his own, or, you know, here his clothes are just such a mess that you can see his bits.
A bit ragged.
Yeah. So why is this?
Hmm.
So it occurred to me.
Yeah, because normally Orion is associated with like a majestic figure, like a king or a Cyrus.
Well, often it's a bit of both, because he's Nebuchadnezzar and what's he called in Nimrod, which is a biblical bad guy, you know. But as it is, the gods of the supplanted peoples are always the demons of the conquerors, aren't they? So anyway, do you know the phrase? It's biblical. It's like a little poetic riddle. I don't know if anyone else has figured this out, but I'm pretty sure I've got it here. Can you loose the belt of Orion? Can you bind the influence of the sweet Pleiades? Do you know that one? Never heard that. Oh dear, this won't sound as cool then, because you'll be like, oh, I can't believe you've solved that. So
I can't believe you've solved that. So what does it mean? What does it mean?
Well, I can't believe you solved that thing I've never heard of. I don't know what you're talking about. So what does it mean? Well, what happens when you loose the belt of Orion? What would happen if you loosed a man's belt? His trousers will fall down, and his genitals will fall out. Right? So think penis. Right? You thinking penis?
Trying not to,
If we bind the influence of the Pleiades, as I've shown you previously in our personal conversations, if you connect those stars of the Pleiades, it looks like a mushroom.
Yeah.
What does a penis look like? It's another mushroom. Can you do those two things? Well, what have you got? Well, you've got a mushroom. So this is where the mushrooms come into it. And you can see actually in his left arm, there's the shape of a phallus put into his arm as well. If you can see that.
Yes. Yeah. And
on the French fool, that's a scrotum and a penis that he's, you know, the bag.
Okay. Yeah.
It's a scrotum and a penis. In fact, on mine, I have actually used a scrotum. I've disguised it with the red and white polka dots, but it's
this is your card that you've done recently. So
yeah,
hopefully you might talk us through some of the images you've made in your own series.
If you want to do that, I'm happy to do that.
Yeah.
Should we speed on so I can get
there?
there?
But like just to say quickly that in real life, like in the sky, the Orion's Nebula is kind of like a star factory situated in exactly the same place. So it would make sense to associate that part of the sky with.
There's another mystery started off by what's his name? It doesn't matter. I can't remember his name, but he'd seen that certain churches post-Renaissance had a certain map that, like a certain kind of cloud structure to some of the ornamentation inside the church, and that mapped almost perfectly to the Orion Nebula. Now, obviously, there are secrets that go on, and the microscope and the telescope were discovered before they were discovered. We know that now. I can show you that later.
Okay.
It's not well known, but it is. You can see.
It's interesting to like that. It's not coming from nowhere. Literally, it's like a generation.
Yeah.
Shall we say?
Yeah.
Okay. Next slide. Moving on.
Right. So now, further proving that there is these astronomical allegories stuck into those cards. We've got the strength card, which is all about it's your ego. It's that cosmic force coming into you again, and it's most active in things like in a man, particularly the ego and the sex drive. And so Leo represents the peak of the year, the peak of your energy, the middle of it's like 2 o'clock Leo time, 2 o'clock onwards to 4 o'clock, the peak of the day. It's not quite the middle of the day because everything takes a little while to warm up. So he's August as well, because you'd think it would be June, but not June, July. But no, he's August because the Earth takes a little while to heat up. And that time of the year, in the kind of countries that tarot came from, the sun ravages the land. Basically, if you go to Italy in the middle of summer, it's like everything's yellow and about to set on fire. Yeah. So, but it's the same with your sex drive in a man. It can take you to some terrible places and make you do stupid things. It makes a lot of people do stupid things. So here he is, kind of the sharing of face. They're both ugly buggers. But,
and is that another Orion pose that we have here?
It seems right. It might be Hercules as well, but he's not kneeling.
Could be,
he's not. Yeah, he's not kneeling though. But it wouldn't matter too much. You'd have to look at the decans of Leo. He'll be a decan. I can't quite remember right now. So there's Leo, and not just Leo, but the secrets of Leo are there for you. I mean, they go much deeper than that. We could talk for a full podcast on each card, but we won't. Then we've got the Wheel of Fortune, which is the ecliptic itself. The Wheel of Fortune is literally just the planets in the heavens spinning around you. So that is what that is. The sun. The sun is the sun. More astronomical things. This is quite late on in the deck, so it's quite a bit more esoteric. The me, because like you look at that and like, what has a kid standing on a cloud got to do with the sun?
Okay, so that's Cupid, is it?
It's he's a Pluto, but
okay,
kind of thing. I don't want to go too deep into it. We can do more of these. Like I said, we can do more of these if you want to. So next, please.
Right.
Yeah. So now I'm going to show you. Yeah, I'm going to quickly show you that every card is structured.
Okay.
Right, and it's a formula. So this one is is the Hermit, and if we look at this red writing at the top, Saturn plus Virgo plus Mercury plus 9, which is the moon. Okay.
There's a lot going on there.
Yes. Well, in the sequence of the deck, he's the 9th card, so that's where we get 9. Where does the moon come from? The fact that the number 9 in Kabbalah and other such arts is the number of the moon. Okay. We got Saturn on there because that's who he is.
Right.
We've got Virgo on. Yeah, we've got Virgo on there because that's where we are. There's the astrological sequence has started, and we've arrived at Virgo, having come from Leo. The card before was the.
We've skipped a good few though from Orion, right? We've gone from Orion.
Yeah. I'm just showing this to show the formula rather than show you each card.
Okay.
Because that's all I need to do. We can talk about each card individually another time. So so it's a formula, and there's reasons for the formula. Is where is it in the sequence? And because there are several sequences going on, when those come together, those are the components of the formula. So from this we can see so Saturn is exalted in Virgo, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Oh, Mercury exalts in Virgo. I take it back. So that's where Mercury's come from in our formula there. So Saturn plus Virgo plus Mercury plus 9 moon. So because Mercury exalts in Virgo, what's exalting? It just means that it does its best thing. When Mercury is in Virgo, it does its good stuff. They like each other. So there you go. So that's where we get the formula from. And if we apply that formula, if you look where the Saturn card is, just next to that, it says Saturn, cripple, old generation, outcast, time, pole, death, limit, gatekeeper. These are all Saturnian attributes. I'm not going to go into why, they just bloody are. Then we've got, for Virgo, we've got late summer, gatherer, harvester, working woman. I analyze. Mercury exalts in Virgo. Saturn in Virgo equals limiting work, because Saturn's a limiting guy, and Virgo's kind of a working person. Sorry, say that again.
Because time is finite. Why is that?
Basically, time imbues all the difficulties in your life. It's the greater difficulties.
So it's like that sense of change within time.
Yes, like the day's getting out, or I'm getting old, or oh my God, there's a roadblock there. There's traffic jam. I'm not going to get. It's these
all of those things are in time.
Yeah, and time itself is the greater analogy for what's happened to the life force as well. If you want to get deep. So as far as Mercury is concerned, Mercury connects like Gemini and fetches like Virgo, introvert, processing, mapping, locating, librarian, wise folk. And basically there's all these details. And when you mash them together by their archetypes, because obviously there are things, if we say Mercury, I could boil Mercury down to communication. Virgo, librarian, Saturn, time, you know, and when you add all its ramifications together in a cauldron and do alchemy on it and reduce it and rarefy it and then condense it, you get the symbology that's in this card.
Okay.
Look, he's holding the stick of time.
Yeah,
right?
he is. He's holding a stick and he's holding an hourglass. Is that right?
He's holding an hourglass.
Mm.
He's an old man, like Saturn would be. He's actually a hermit, which is a person that goes away and contemplates time, reality, existence, usually in old age, always on the roam. He's traveling from the outside. He does it by going in. He doesn't do it by going out. He travels from the outside to the inside like Mercury would do. That moon aspect is looking at the subconscious and the unconscious inside. So all these things form together. How does he do that? Well, there's something. Hermits eat raven's bread, even in the Christian tradition. What's raven's bread? It's Amanita muscaria, the red and white hermit's mushroom. What's he wearing on his head? He's wearing the dose on his head. He's wearing 2 Amanita muscaria mushrooms on his head. There's a red and white, you know, you can see the gills and the spots. And if you look on his leg, most mushrooms are hidden in Christian art and art around that time in folds of cloth. So there are 2 kinds of mushrooms available in Europe. The Amanita muscaria, which is like the...
Oh, I've just seen the one on the cloak.
And the one in his coat, which is the Psilocybe semilensiata mushroom. The same as got me to find out about the tarot. Right. And what do those mushrooms do? They allow you to go through that cosmology by stripping away those layers of psyche to get to the thing at the top. What's in his hand? What's that angle of the pole he's got? It's 23.5 degrees, the angle of the ecliptic from the Earth. Or we know it's the angle of the Earth, but they didn't. They thought that the Earth was still in the center, so it's the angle of the ecliptic, where fate is and time and all those other things that they're trying to get off by being a hermit.
Okay, and contrasting with the line, the vertical line here of the side of the card and the hourglass, so you can see definitely that angle is deliberate.
Yeah. All the angles in here are deliberate, because we'll see that thing that I started off with at the beginning, the pins and the strings.
Okay.
These are all wow. So if we just before we go on to the next card, we can also see that we've got on one. I forgot what deck it is, but in black and white, there's a Saturn on 2 crutches with the pole, with the pillar behind him. So they're never pushing it up front, but this idea of the pole, the pillar, the way, the ladder of the cosmology, basically. So next, please.
Okay.
And to that, no. What are you doing by doing these mystery traditions? Well, you are poking your head out of the cosmos, like this chap is here on the left, with the tree, the pole, the pillar behind him, which is the spine and the ecliptic. We've already shown that it's as above, so below cosmology. And we can see behind, he's looking through to that other realm, that imperial platonic realm. Well, we can see all the wheels spinning. What are those wheels? Well, that's the music of the spheres, the rotations of that wheel of fortune. So he's getting out of the cosmos. So he's climbing that ladder of cosmology.
That's an amazing image.
Yeah, and so...
Where is this image from? Is this from a deck, or is this...
No, that's a recolored, redrawn. I get the feeling it's like mid-English Renaissance kind of a deal. I can't quite remember, but that's been redrawn. But there is an original wood block. So how's this done? What's the allegory? Well, it's the mask. We've already talked about the masculine and feminine energies. That's the basis of psyche. You could say that mother and father and those 2 concepts are at the base of human psyche. In fact, I'm quite happy to say that, and We can have an argument about that later if anybody wants to do that. But here we go, masculine and feminine. The red king and the white queen, as they're called, the sun and the moon. Not just the left and right hemispheres in the brain, but all systems in the body. So what happens? Well, the pole star, you line up with that. The masculine and feminine come together as these two angles of the earth and the ecliptic, the masculine and feminine poles. Get to the actual pole star in the middle, and then they say that a grace comes upon you, and that the Holy Spirit, which is another term for the life force, comes down into you and gives you prophecy and grace and all these other things. Well, there's the dove of grace coming down from the pole star in that alchemical image, which uses a little bit of Christian symbology so as to get away with it. But they're doing the two crossings of the pole. You could call that the Chi-Rho, the Chi-Rho symbol, where the dove is the P. The P is the, which is an R. But, you get me? How is it done? Well, this is some ancient stuff. All the Greek myths are basically encoding this stuff, as Isaac Newton was said to be obsessed about. He was saying, these Greek myths contain the secrets of alchemy. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. There's a Greek Pythia there, doing all kinds of intoxicating substances, changing her genetics in order to do the prophecy. She was a prophet. She's an oracle, So there's the idea that she was breathing fumes. I don't know what the plant is there. It's probably henbane or something like that. And she's drinking the sacrament. So these young ladies were on a retinue, basically, they're basically on a course of all kinds of drugs. And they get like scaly skin and stuff like that, which is where you get the Gorgons and Medusa and all these stuff. And they'd have been trained very highly in maths, and they'd have been really highly trained in all kinds of stuff.
Okay. And then on top of that kind of the logos, if you like, and the information, all these mind-bending chemicals are necessary then to get beyond that layer. I love that, that just the head peering through to get beyond that. And kind of, I love even the stars are on our side, and you have to get beyond that.
You have to get beyond that, That's the firmament, as it was known. I just want to iterate that, look, just because they were doing all the mind-bending drugs, and, there are other ways of getting there, and it's almost like, unless you're doing an occupation like that, in a time gone by with different outlooks on life, these women would have been venerated. You weren't even allowed to touch them, never mind speak to them. Right. So you're dead, just like you're just dead. There's no messing around. And they had special types that were temple prostitutes. And if you can think, if somebody who was taking snake venom in small doses in order to become, A, they were getting high off it, but B, to produce antibodies for the snake venoms, that kissing, having intercourse or anything like that with these women, or even maybe touching some of them, ain't going to be good necessarily, because they are basically on a highly developed toxic regime, and they stayed in prepubescence as well. Although some of them, if you went to the Amazon, they were like the opposite happened. That's where these technologies came from. The Amazonians, not the Amazon rainforest, but like the Scythian archer warrior women, where these technologies seemed to be certainly developed, but carried through from the Stone Age or whenever it was.
Yeah, so there's a long tradition.
Long traditions. And it just comes from look, we can get antibodies in milk if we give a little bit of venom to the horse. And that's how we do it now. That is literally how we do it now. Yeah. So that's how they did it, but they ended up doing it with people as well. If you want to,
the poison and the cure are the same.
Yeah. If you want to, well, that's pharmacon. The very word for a magician and for her is a pharmacon, which means poison and medicine at the same time. Pharmacy. Next image, please.
Next. So we got some mushrooms.
Yeah. So I've already spoke about mushrooms. I like to talk about mushrooms because although we just talked about some ghastly stuff in that last section, I wouldn't normally. And mushrooms are much more fun and frivolous to engage with. So I find it easier to point those out rather than going, oh, look, they were doing opium. Or, oh, look, they were drinking the milk of slave girls that were fed all kinds of drugs to become a processing plant, and then you drink their juices.
We'll stick with the mushrooms.
You will stick with the mushrooms. So let's look at Mithras. top left.
Okay.
There's a blue stem that runs up his leg into a mushroom head. We've said often it's in the folds, but if you look at his entire garment, it's red with white spots. That's the Amanita muscaria mushroom. We've got a big picture of that.
That always passed me by. I never noticed that.
Yep. So in the next one, this is from the original Mithraists. Not the original. Mithraism is really, really ancient, but a more. I couldn't tell you when he's from. I think it's from like 900 or something like that. But it's a Persian rug from Mithraists of a priest giving a mushroom, the sacrament, to the king, and they're obviously making a big furore about it. So, yeah, and it's been long believed that Mithraism was a mushroom sacrament cult. So there you go. The original Mithraism, the Iranian Persian version, not necessarily the Roman version, although clearly they are still doing it.
Yeah, although officially they're separate, but there's very similar things going on. So I would agree with you that there's some kind of continuity.
Mithraism seems to have come from some Seleucid pirates that were Perseus worshippers, and they were like pirates, and so they basically got to where the merchants and the Romans were, and apparently it's a bit of a psyop as well. They were sent out by the powers that be to like go and spread this cult, because there's some brotherliness there now, and you've got our ideas, and there is definitely a lot of legitimate Mithraism in the cult of Mithras and lots of other stuff. But anyway, so then we got Cathar image of Adam and Eve around the tree of life, with the serpent in there. The serpent is also a symbol for drugs, as you know from the pharmacy logo with the cup and the serpent in it. Well, that cup would have been this mushroom, and there's your serpent. The mushroom folds up into a grail goblet, and the red of that cap, which is the ibotenic acid, goes into the water. We call it gnome wine in Britain, but that's if you think of the cup at a Christian, it would have been what's it called? Mass. When they have the
you mean the wine that the priest drinks?
It's got a name. I used to be a blooming Roman Catholic when I was a kid, but I can't remember. Anyway.
Do you mean the bread, the host?
Yeah, but there's a communion. When they have the Holy Communion. Yeah, so that sacrament would have probably been mushrooms originally.
Okay.
Was mushrooms originally. Anyway. So there you go. Adam and Eve, that's Cathar. So that is kind of post the Templars coming back and rediscovering all this stuff in the East, and I like to, flesh out a bit more, because there's clearly a bit of a gap where this stuff was only known in the East for a while and hadn't really made its way over here very well. But the Templars sorted all that out. So bottom left is a very ancient mushroom shaman man from a cave wall somewhere, 20,000 years ago.
So where's this from? The cave walls of where is it?
I can't remember. It's been a while since
I've seen it before, but I just can't remember from where it is, but it's somewhere.
Yeah. If you just put in mushroom, shaman, cave wall, you'll find it. So next to that, we've got an alchemical image, which is, if you look at it, it's a big mushroom. Mm-hmm. At the bottom of the image, we can see the colours of alchemy. Can you see there's like a little red circle? Yeah. And then there's 4 ribbons coming off it: red, black, white, yellow. And if we look on the right-hand image of this figure called Alchemia, we can see black, white, red, yellow, which are Negredo, Albedo, Rubedo, and Citrinas, which are the stages of alchemy.
Stages of the process.
Right. So what colour's the mushroom? If you do a cross-section, it's black at the bottom where that soil actually grows into that nub. It's black at the bottom, white, yellow, red. That's the exact order of the alchemical operation. Even more so, I can show that to you. If we look at alchemy here, if you look at a pubis, there's the soil, and we got the bump, which is the bottom of the mushroom, where her belly is. And then she splays that into a mushroom shape, including those colours. And if you look at the bird at the top, the motifs repeated. That bird's doing a mushroom pose. You can see where the gills would be on the mushroom next door to it. So,
yeah,
it's all mushrooms.
So the shapes are all there.
The shapes and the colours.
And the colours.
Yeah. And the fact that we're dealing with mysticism and mystical traditions. So what are the technologies of that? Well, unfortunately, everybody, drugs are the easy way. But the problem with drugs is that you've not invoked it yourself. So there are ways of doing it yourself. It just takes years and years and years. So I think for the best traditions, it's that the mushrooms and such are an initiation. Here's revealing what you can get halfway through the process.
Okay.
You know? So what have we got from this? We've got like a scientific shamanism, cosmic intercourse, venom, anti-venom, positive, negative, everything comes together. All measurements are made by one thing in comparison to another, and that's what this whole science seems to be. Two serpents joining together around a pole in intercourse. Describes what goes up your spine. It describes eventually what become the harmonies, the hyperharmonic numbers that we are all obsessed with. You know, the 108, 216 is all that. Mm-hmm. These are the notes on a musical scale, and also this is the cosmic chain of 7. You know, there's most times there are 7 interlacing parts of these two serpents, which is your cosmos. So it's this ancient shamanic wisdom tradition, serpent cult science. It's the serpent knowledge. So we can see Fuxi and Nuwa from China. These are from the Taoist tradition. And again, we've got the 2 serpents going up. Then we look at the skirts and we go, oh, what's going on in that skirt there? We've got laser mushrooms in the skirt again. And then we got these 2 people, the sacred androgyne. We know they're the sacred androgyne. I mean, you just read the stories, but just looking at the symbology, one's got a square, one's got a compass. We've got the sun at the top and the moon at the bottom and the constellations between. It's this same idea. Now, actually, when you look into a lot of the Chinese traditions, you can see the Silk Roads got involved, and a lot of these things come from Babylon. And a lot of the names and stories actually seem to come from Babylon in Chinese tradition, which was a surprise to me when I was researching it recently. Anyway, on to the next one. Who's the symbol for this in the West? Not the next, but the next picture here. We got Mercury. I mean, this is a Renaissance image, but or post-Renaissance. But he's got that caduceus going up. It's the same tradition with the wings at the top, which is the androgyne coming together, spiritualized. He's the androgyne. His name itself makes up the word for an androgyne, a hermaphrodite. Hermes and Aphrodite. He's a young man. He's a bit like that. And if we look in his clothes, what's in those folds? What's in those folds again? We can see in these red folds, there's mushroom. There's mushrooms everywhere. Can you see that?
No, I can't see the mushroom. Hang on a second. Show me again.
So in Mercury's red cloak, there's literally obvious mushrooms.
Oh, I see now.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I feel like I'm looking at one of those kids' storybooks.
Magic Eye.
Now you see, yeah. I never saw that.
Yeah. Well, they're hidden. It's all hidden in plain sight. That's the point.
That's it, yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
and there's no arguing with that the author, the artist here, didn't intend to draw big mushrooms in that cloak. I am not having it. Anyway, in the next image, we've got the alchemical androgyne again, which is Mercury. You know, the god of alchemy is Hermes Trismegistus, which is Thoth and Mercury mixed together. Mm-hmm. Doing the mushroom pose with the wings out to make the gills, you know, the male and the female coming together. We've got serpents in a cup this time to show you the pharmacy. And as I said, that the original serpent in the cup was the juice in the mushroom when it turns around. Because you got to think, whenever all this stuff would have been started, there'd have been very little pharmaceutical technology going on. If we're in it might, God knows what. How old it is, maybe 60, 70,000 years, who knows? Yeah,
there's no point putting a limit on it.
Yeah, but you'd have had very little medicine. You'd have been picking things off and maybe drying them out, something like that. But so something like that mushroom, which is ubiquitous across the world, would have been greatly prized. You don't even have to brew it, you just bloody dry it out and eat it. Don't do that, everybody.
Yeah, and I can see how that would have been really, really useful, really widespread, and to give the visions that were necessary.
Yeah, I mean, one of the main things, not that one, that mushroom does slightly different things. But the psilocybe semilanceata, the smaller one, which is actually on this next image, if you go on to the next page.
Yeah.
So these are more psilocybe.
Okay, we're back to the tarot.
Yeah. So psilocybe are little liberty caps, basically. They're called liberty caps, like little brown mushrooms with a little nub at the top. And they are literally named after that liberty cap that Mithras wears and all the other guys, which means to be free. And that's what the mushroom does, you know. So anyway, we got the Lover's card from the Visconti deck under the polar mushroom. There's literally a big mushroom in the background. The Visconti Sforza, I mean, she's got, again, the stem running up the side of the dress, ending in the mushroom cap in her head. He is the other one. You can see the stem up the side of him. Like, there's no need for it to draw a line. I realize he's got like a poncho thing on, but to draw attention to the very side of an object is just weird to do. And he's doing it on both. He's an Amanita with the dots on top. She's a psilocybe with the cap on top. There's a big mushroom pillar between them. We've got Eros above them. He's doing another kind of mushroom pose, but that wouldn't matter because the heraldry for the Sforza family is that dragon, or is it Visconti? Pretty sure it's Sforza. That dragon, which is a serpent eating a small child, red child doing a mushroom pose. It's this, you know, it's the same as for Quetzalcoatl in the Americas. It's you are being consumed by the drugs. You are going into the underworld of that serpent, which is the drugs. The serpent's associated with drugs because serpent venom in lower doses is a drug experience. Let me put some light on. Is a drug experience, and that the serpent itself is a phallus that moves without being straight. It's like got this masculine and feminine attributes to it. Plus, when it opens its mouth, it looks like a vagina. Anyway, lots of reasons. So it's that same analogy. As for the parasol above them, if you go to the Buddhist tradition, they have these 8 fantastic objects. And one of them is called a parasol. And when you look at it, we can see in the black and white image, just underneath the Sforza coat of arms there, is one of them. And again, it's the mushroom. When you look at the body tree in a lot of Buddhist depictions, you know, the tree that Buddha sits under, and it's clearly a mushroom. I mean, there's not even any, they've not even bothered messing about. They've just put a mushroom there. So, okay, the kind of, you can see that there might be mushrooms there, but there's nothing definite saying, yes, that's absolutely mushrooms. So there is one card that you would particularly associate with tripping balls. And that would be the star card, because she's kind of it's a bit of a portal, the star card. And you draw down the energy of the stars, and there's all this coming together. And again, I can go through this another time, but take word for it. She's the gate. She's a portal to the rest of the cosmos. Okay. So in her dress, if you look at the way she's holding her belly, so she's this lady here, reaching for the star. Look at her dress. There's this pleated part, and then a very obvious lines down the middle again, making a mushroom shape. Can you see the shape of the dress there? So you got the pleated bit.
You mean with the rocks?
No, so if you look at her dress, there's a lady reaching up for a star.
Yeah.
She's got a hand over her belly.
Yeah.
If you look just beneath that, you got lots of pleats that look like the cap of a mushroom. And then a straight line down, showing the mushroom. There is that. And you could go, oh, yeah, but it just might be the way they've drawn it. So, okay, I'm looking at a dress.
Yeah.
So I've put 2 blown up images of her dress on the right there, the blue background images. And it's basically a mushroom shape. It's the psilocybe semilanceata with a stem coming out at the bottom. They've just drawn it in 3 or 4 lines horizontally, and then one coming down. Again, I was like, well, okay, it's all adding up. It's probably mushrooms. Well, you don't have absolute proof. But when I looked on the next card, which is difficult to see, but it's in the image at the bottom where you can just see a pair of legs and feet. In the background, what's drawn to be like trees are actually in the foreground, and it's these same shapes. these striations with the bit coming down.
Yeah.
They're going in the ground. To add to that, if we look at the image on the bottom left of the papes, holding that book there. So liberty comes from the word liber, as in a book. You get your books, you got your knowledge, you got all this stuff. So she's holding that knowledge. And if you look what's under the knowledge in her leg, what shape's under her leg there? Another big mushroom. Can you see it?
Yep.
And then if you look on the image on the right, there was actually a recoloring of this same original deck. Somebody else painted it, and they brought the mushroom out even further. You can see the curls underneath, the dark stem,
yeah, you can see
the striations that naturally go up the real mushroom.
Yeah.
It's implicit that. And I'd also like to add on the top left image, that's the scribe or magician from the first card, and just look at his eyes. There's lots of images like this, particularly of
what that's for.
Yeah, he's off his head.
Is that right?
It's like, oh my god, he's inside himself. He's not, he's not out there. His eyes might be open, but he's not there.
Oh god.
So next card.
Oh, it all makes sense now.
The hermit's hat. There's a few flakes where the paint's come off just above the bottom rim, the bottom yellow, but all the rest are paint daubs of white paint, purposeful. And as we said, the back in those days, hermits were famous for being sustained on hermit's bread brought by ravens. What is hermit's bread? As you can see in that drawing down there on the bottom right, it's Amanita muscaria. If we look at the top right, which is an image from Christianity, there's the raven bringing the bread to the hermit, and we've got a cup with the serpent in it, which is that mushroom. It's all the same stuff. I'm showing my case here, right? So, and again, all these things are just in that idea of the hermit. Just people don't know what they're looking for, don't know how to read the symbols. That's all. It's all there. Anyway,
but you need to know in order to recognize them. That's the thing when you have these symbols, like otherwise it just passes you by. Like, how could you? Well, obviously you could probably guess and study and everything, but like when you know.
Yeah. Well, I had to work it out, but it's workoutable. Nobody else told me, but you work it out. So next image, please. So I love this. This was I like this. So tarot. Where does the name tarot come from? Well, I'll say there's some gematria in there as well, and it relates to precessional numbers, i.e. 25, 9, 20. But that is called. So you get the Cairo, which is the X with the P, but you also get the Tauro or the staurogram. And that P is an R in Greek, T is a T, Tau, Tauro. What's this? Well, it's cosmological. It's the pole, and the particularly on the Cairo, the original angle on that was 23.5 degrees on each. So it's showing you that it's the cosmology. What do you associate the Cairo with? They put a wheel around it. It's like a wheel of fortune, essentially. That is the wheel of fortune, in fact. The Tau is Jesus' cross, isn't it? The original Jesus cross was a Tau shaped. That's cosmological. There's your pole. He's doing the whole death rebirth ceremony, doing the shamanism. He goes into hell for several days, releases the psyche, releases the old souls, and he goes up to heaven.
Yeah.
Same thing here. That's the old mystery tradition, right? So between we got the Tau, the Rho, but we've got an Alpha and Omega in as well that you often see around the Cairo, right? So what happens if you just say that? T-A-R-O, tarot. What happens if you say Cairo with the Alpha and Omega? Well, you get things like, you could say Taroki because you put in the Cairo with it. Cairo, Taroki, Tauro. There you go. That's where it comes from. Just so obvious. And when you see that, tarot is like, there's anagrams inherent in there, like rota, the meaning the wheel as well. So which goes back to that Sator Aripotene Opera Rota. Sator is tarot with an S on there, so you're just playing further with the maths. That maths again. I don't know if I put it in this presentation.
So you have the alpha and the omega of time, of creation.
Of time.
Inside the word.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's just, that's it. It's just another way. It's a very tinily hidden way of talking about this ancient cosmological tradition. It's Tau. It's the Tau and the Rho. That's what it is. The Tau would be, so you got the pole there. So the Tau is like the ecliptic, the band of the ecliptic, and the Rho is all the rest of the stuff, the pole star and all that business. There you go. And I've actually got images from Mayans and such where it's exactly the same. They just put a parrot on a tree. The parrot's that P and the tree's the T.
It's like the tree of life and all those many images which have a strong vertical line, and then everything revolves around. There
you go. And that's that, we know that because the original Cairo particularly, it was all about that angle, the angle of the ecliptic. Yeah. So I've put here TR, instead of saying P, I'm going to say R as it should be. TR, Stauros, Tauro, Cairo, Trionfi, Tarochi, Taro. It's all, you can just see that it's just repetitions of these same things. Then you get Cairo, the city Cairo, was called Ros Tau originally. Taro. That's what it was called.
Okay, that's an interesting connection. Back to Egypt.
Yeah, back to Egypt. Ro Cairo. Ro. So from that you get, because it's the Ro as in rose, and the cross, the Chi. So you get Rosicrucians, Rose Cross, Wheel and Cross, Chronos, Time, PX, RX. That the PX symbol, the Cairo, is the American symbol for selling drugs, the RX. They've just shifted that X, because we've already said that it is drugs. It's fate itself is pharmakia. It's poison and medicine. It just depends how you take it. Like, my dad died. Oh no, I miss my dad. Oh, he left you all this money. You get to continue his business and his legacy. And have your own sons, and it's poison or medicine.
Yeah.
So there you go. There you go. I put P, the pole and the plough, T, the zodiac, A and O is really like he's talking about the 7 vowels, A, E, I, O, U. Yeah. Alpha and Omega were almost only ever used in regards to time, but that time was always reverting back to the 7 vowels. There you go. That is deep.
That's
stuff.
Interesting as well. When you think back to the meditation,
What's God's name?
Amen.
What's God's name? Iao, Yaldabaoth, Ioannes, all these gods, all the John gods, the gods of the Templars, the 2 Johns and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Iona, Ioannes, Oannes, John, all the Johns, because that's Ioannes. Jonah, all of these fish, priest, god dudes. Yeah, that's my book. You have to read my book for that stuff. Anyway, next image, please.
Okay, so now these are quite well-known images. I recognize some pillars from Freemasonry. I recognize some images from medicine and something to do with the Pope.
Yeah. So what I'm intending to show you here now is that same Cairo, Tauro symbol is the 2 pillars. Now, we said one pillar points up to the pole star of the Earth, and the other pillar points up to another pole star, actually, of the ecliptic, a lesser known pole star. Nobody really thinks about it. So we can see that's true, even with the B and J pillars, Boaz and Yakin, from Masonry and Solomonic workings. We can see one end's in the zodiac with the plough at the top, and the plough is where the pole star is, and the other is the Earth. So there's your pillar in the Earth. We getting it? On the left, the Cairo I've placed over a caduceus. It's the same symbol. We can even see where the caduceus is, that serpent actually coils into the P that I've placed over the top.
Yeah, because the angle is odd. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense to have it like that normally. Like it doesn't. Well, it's not about looking realistic, but what kind of a snake would go?
Yeah, well, actually, it's because you're going up. They use different ones, but you might be going up by phi. On mine, I go by phi every time, so it goes up. Because it's music of the spheres. Those two serpents are essentially the ecliptic, the planets going around the ecliptic, fate, the poison or the medicine, up the pole, and then that's kind of the top of the mushroom, or the brain at the top with the pineal gland in the center. There's your little nub, or the pole star, or the top of the Christmas tree. All the same analogies. For the Pope, it's the two keys. We know it's the two keys because if you look in the two keys, he's got the four directions in there showing you that, the poles is where the four directions meet up. Anyway, we know a lot more about the Pope.
Related to the Silver Gate and the Golden Gate.
They are. Again, another discussion or the book, because what you'll notice is if you look down from St. Peter's Basilica and look down the road there, it's been built into a key. And when you figure out all that stuff,
like a keyhole, rather, yeah,
there's a keyhole there. When you figure out what's in the keyhole, which is what I'm telling you now, but cool, and other things, and this trapezium, which is built after the name of God, it's cool stuff. It's proper Indiana Jones. But again, it's all in the book, so I'll give you the book, and then you can ask me questions at a later date.
I definitely will.
Let's finish this. So all these things are these two poles. The pole of the ecliptic and the pole of the Earth. Okay. And I think I've proven that so far.
I think so.
Next image. Yes. So, there's a diagram. I've put two keys on there for the two separate poles. Forget about it. There's other things going on, as you said a minute ago, to do with the Taurus Gemini nexus to the Milky Way and the Scorpio Sagittarius nexus to the other side of the Milky Way. But we don't need to go on that here. Just know, mainly they're these two pillars. What is it about these two pillars? Well, they have a cycle between each other that lasts 25,920 years. And when you break, that's called a great year. And when you treat that long cycle as a year, when you break it down into days, hours, weeks, months, seasons, you get these amazing hyperharmonic numbers out of it. 216, 144, 108, 72, all these amazing things that, I call them the hyperharmonics. It's the music of the spheres.
Yeah, John Michel's written about them, Graham Hancock's written about them.
Yeah. So just to show this, I put an image up here of, it's actually Janus and Sibylle, whatever you want to call it. These are normally the people that originally held those keys in paganism. Janus,
the original St. Peter, is this?
Say that again, sorry?
The original St. Peter.
Yeah. There was no St. Peter at Rome. Oh, this is all in the book. Anyway. These two, I don't want to give too much away. So these two held those two keys that the Pope eventually took on, and it's a known thing. So what were these keys? Well, these are these same keys we just talked about, these nexuses. They're the keys to spring, Taurus, Gemini, and the keys to winter, which are Scorpio, Sagittarius. There's a big philosophy, deep shamanic analogy going on here that I think I figured out. It's to do with those two towers of Orion and Ophiuchus. But again, which are in tarot again.
But these are the constellations that we see in wintertime, right? So Orion.
I don't want to go into it too much, Melissa. Anyway, so here are the two characters where we got those two keys, and in a Christian context, no more. So over the top, it says IHS. It could be Ignox in hoc signes, or Ioannes, or Jesus. They make up all kinds of stuff for it, but it's three letters.
Right.
Whenever I see letters, especially abbreviations, in these magical, mystical arts, it's numbers. It's always numbers. So when I do the gematria on those numbers, IHS equals 107. I is 9, H is 8, S is 90. 9 times 8 times 90 is 6480, which is a precessional season. 6480 times 4 is 25,920. the same. You'll see the same over Jesus. We already said Jesus is the, his cross is the plane of the ecliptic and the pole going up.
Precessional axis.
So at the top of that, INRI, Jesus Nazarene Rex Judea. Jesus of Nazareth, King of the Jews, INRI. Well, that was said to be able to be read by both the Romans and the Israelites. So I'm like, what does that mean? So I'm like, hang on a minute. Is there like a gematria where I can use the Roman letters as if they were the Hebrew? And it turned out there was something called Jewish gematria. And when I plugged it into that, INRI equals 138. I equals 9, N equals 40, R equals 80, I equals 9. 9 times 40 times 80 times 9 equals 25, 920 with an extra 0. But what's a 0 between magicians? So these very secrets of Christianity are these same polar, ancient, antediluvian, as they saw it. I think it is too, frankly. Super science. It's Hamlet's Mill. It's that science that they're all getting about.
Mill. So it's the number of years in a precessional cycle in the traditional value. I think today they say roughly 26,000, but that is the value that makes sense in terms of historical numbers.
A bit this way, a bit that way. I don't really care. It's not like I'm going, this is totally true. Hey, it's true enough for me to freak me out and freak you out and everyone else that gets into this stuff. It's freaky. It's true enough to be like, whoa, what's going on here?
It's not that far off the modern approximation,
no. And what do we know? We don't know any more than they did.
No one even thinks in terms of cycles anymore. I mean, this is not modern astronomy. This is not what it's about. They're not thinking in terms of these cycles. To read up about this, you have to go back at least 100 years in the astronomy books, preferably 200 or 300.
So there we go. I'm showing you now. Not only are these things in the tarot, but these things are in all the religions. They're just encoded.
Okay.
So if we go to the next one, I'll show you in alchemy, because a lot of people keep saying that alchemy is actually people were genuinely trying to turn lead into gold. There was no spiritual alchemy until the 1700s and other such things. And I'm like, well, here's one from the 1600s. Okay. Right. 1617. It's the famous rebus, which is the androgyne stood on a dragon. I could give you I'll quickly tell you the thing. So the dragon is your hormonal, it's the same as the serpent. It's your hormonal system. It's your own personal drugs cabinet that is set off by instances in life affecting you, and you like, oh, I'm scared, oh, I'm excited, oh, I'm horny, whatever those things are. Those are the dragon. Do you eat the fruits that the serpent gives you, or do you say no thank you, because I realize that all technologies are slaveries, including my own drugs cabinet? I can become addicted to all those things, including fear. So no, we don't want that. So we stand on the dragon. The dragon contains the fire, the primal energy, the creative life force, but it's being taken up by that dragon. So when you get rid of that dragon, tame the dragon, kill the dragon, whatever you want to do with it, now we've got all this extra energy to put onto higher things in the chakra system. Those lower chakra are negated somewhat so that energy can come higher up. Yeah. Same thing. We've even got the sun and the moon at the top as those energies, and then the base pairing of yin and yang, and then the 7 planets around that, the rest of the planets around that, as alchemical mixes of those 2 forces, with Mercury in the center being the perfect combination of all of them. Then we got the rebus, look, doing the same thing as that Fuxian Noir in China, the male and female together, holding a square and a compass. Square draws masculine, the compass draws the circular feminine, but the masculine's holding the feminine's holding the masculine, and then it comes together. And basically, what is that? It's nullification. It's obliteration. It's matter and antimatter combining together and becoming nothing. The mind state you need to be able to enter this realm beyond time, this Saturnian gateway that's beyond that. Those stars were who's poking his head. How do I know this particularly? What proof do I have of this apart from my reading? Well, I can give you some maths, because all the best symbols have a standard beneath them the best measurements have a standard beneath them. Well, let's use geometry. We can see there's a circle with a square and a triangle drawn in there.
Yeah.
So the 3 for the triangle and the 4 for the square. This is Pythagorean number philosophy.
Yeah.
However, if we look really closely in the center vertical line, there's a number 1 hidden. I've actually put in the center panel image.
Right. Yeah.
I've drawn a big arrow and we can see the 1 there. And
Yeah.
it's pointing to the bottom of the 1. I'm like, does it want me to draw me a line here? I'm going to draw me a line. So I drew me a line. And then I connected up that line with there's actually a number 2 hidden at the bottom. So if we look at that turquoise arrow, if we go down to the bottom, there's a little red 2 I've drawn, if you can just about see that. Take my word for it, there's a little 2 at the bottom. So all I did was draw the line at the top. It wants me to draw a triangle to that 2 at the bottom, because 1, 2. Draw a triangle to the bottom, measure it up, and you can see my measurements on the right-hand side there. So there's a purple circle with a turquoise triangle.
Yeah.
And the measurements. What's that measurements? Well, it's 1, 2, 3, 4 by 9, I think it is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 4 by 9. What's the angle on a 4 by 9 triangle? It's 23.962 degrees, which is the angle of the ecliptic from the Earth, this same pole.
Oh my God.
It's just the same thing over and over again. And it's like, you want proof that it's this ancient thing? There you go. And the beautiful thing about it, they're putting it in maths and geometry. So it's awesome. And further to that, not only does that work out, you know, because obviously if I make the unit bigger, there might be less units there. Where am I getting my unit from to measure that triangle? Well, actually, there's a circle in the middle of that larger sphere. Can you see it? And then I put 1 unit, and it is 1 unit.
Wow.
So there you go.
Amazing. And the whole thing then is within an egg shape, which is interesting. So it's like the cosmic egg.
Yeah, and the head. It's the human. You can see in the negative space under the arms, there's 2 eye sockets. Here's the mouth.
Yeah. I mean, it's very Saint Michael as well. Like it's like he's kind of fused into one being with the kind of androgynous look, and standing on the dragon or the devil.
Who is it that's loving Saint Michael? Is it monks? Who's because it just seems to be around a lot.
Well, it's
for a certain period.
It's a lot of people, but it's the Templars in particular who resurrect him, and the Normans.
Yeah, it feels like Brittany. To me, it just feels like it's coming from somewhere, landing in Brittany, and then kind of coming over here as well.
Yeah. I mean,
like Marks and Spencer's, for example, the St. Michael lines, and you know what I mean?
Yeah. Let's go to your next image, because I'm conscious that we've been talking for ages. I'm sorry we kind of delayed you a lot, but
that's all right. So we'll go through this bit quickly. So, Vesica Piscis. Draw Vesica Piscis, and in the top right, here's the solution to the Vatican thing. That's actually the piazza outside St. Peter's Square, top right image.
Yeah.
And when you figure, I'll not go through it all now, but when you do the simplest of geometry on that, you get everything needed to make this trapezium that you can see everywhere. You know, in the bottom right there's a trapezoid. Yeah, over the lion things, the chimera's legs. So this actually answers the riddle of the Sphinx, but I'm not gonna get into that quickly. Right, I'll do the riddle of the Sphinx really quickly. Lion, bull, eagle, man is so the original riddle. Let's backtrack a bit. Original riddle of the Sphinx. What goes on 4 legs in the morning, 2 in the afternoon, 3 in the evening? It's a person, baby, normal person, old man with a stick. But it's not that. It's not that. The riddle of the Sphinx is in the Sphinx itself, which is made up of a lion, a bull, an eagle, and a man. Most sphinxes from everywhere. You know, the lion man version from later on, but the original one's lion, bull, eagle, man. What are they? The 4 signs of the zodiac. The fixed signs when the seasons are at the most seasony. So what's that? Well, you just simply take the numbers. Bulls 2, lions 5, scorpions 8, man's 11. You add those together, you get 26. If you look at the Wheel of Fortune card on the tarot, it says the word tarot in the circle around the Wheel of Fortune, and it also says it also has the 4 animals, lion, bull, eagle, and man around the Wheel of Fortune, as they naturally belong, and it has the name of God in Hebrew around that. When you take the letters of the name of God, they add up to 26 also, which is they're both talking about the 26,000 year precessional cycle, 25, 9, 20. Which gives you all this cool maths. Now, if you also take the name of God, which is Jehovah, 10, 5, 6, 5, put it into geometry, you get that trapezium that's encoded into the piazza, that's encoded into this, that gives this precessional angle that was encoded in that alchemical image. It's also encoded into the legs of all the sphinxes in Babylon and Sumeria. It's encoded in the forelegs of the Apkallu priests in Sumeria. If you look at the bottom left, it's in the rod and reel of Shamash, and over the polar sun disk in the top left. In these are so old. It's in Ion's staff in Mithraism in the center. It's everywhere. You just got to look for these things. Yeah. It's like, this is the big secret, right? Okay. What is that? Well, those triangles that make up that trapezium, obviously they're showing you the 2 angles of the axis of the Earth, but also it's made up of 2 kinds of Pythagorean triangle. If we go to the next image.
Okay.
So all this precessional magic gives music, essentially. All these numbers are harmonic numbers for different notes of music. Most often A's and D's, lots of F's. There's all of them, basically. And this art was the basis of building the temples, building the pyramids, building the cathedrals, building Stonehenge. It's all these numbers and harmonies and cosmic and bringing it up and taking it down and drawing down the stars. Let's rush through to the next one. These same numbers, we were talking about this Platonic realm of ideals. They're seeing the energy coming through like a prism, expanding out into the cosmos. Well, how did it do that? Plato said by fundamental shapes and principles, which I'm actually starting to understand might be actually scientifically true. Because a triangle does have certain properties, a certain logic. It will only fit with other things in a certain way. Think of a football, which is pentagrams and hexagons, something like that. They can only fit like that because of those shapes. Hexagons are the closest thing to a circle. An octagon doesn't do the same things as a hexagon does. It distributes if it's a system on the Earth, like a beehive, the pressure is distributed beautifully, and you get maximum use of that space, because if it was circles, you'd have a gap between them. Hexagons, so there's a logic to these shapes. These same numbers are reflected not only in the interior angles of the classic polygons, but particularly the Platonic solids. The cube, for example, is 216, which is the interior angles add up to 216 degrees, or 2160 degrees, which is an A, I think. An A in musical notation. It's the size of the moon. It's the size of the Earth in nautical miles. There's so many things. And this is why I think they're onto something. And it's like the actual construction of the wisdom tradition itself is a mimetic memory device. But they're onto something about the cosmos, the way these numbers work, and the relation to the solids and the archetypes, and the basic thing. They've got something here, and it's put onto the thing that everyone can share. And it's not going to leak. It might be a cloudy night, but tomorrow you'll be able to remember by the stars. You can remember by the year. You can remember by the cycles of the moon. It's all around you for everybody at all times. What a wonderful standard. What a wonderful philosophical stone to base a foundation on. If you get what I'm saying out there, everybody, something of a grail. Anyway, so if we go on to the next image, as we zoom through this. Sorry, I'm speeding up, but like you said. So, it uses Pythagorean triangles. When you plug these numbers into Pythagorean triangles, I'd realised from some pillars that I've been working on, some Templar pillars, that lots of things are going on. I don't want to explain it all, but when you put these numbers into there are masculine and feminine numbers, as I discovered on these pillars. If you plug those into the Pythagorean triangles, the Pythagorean triangles suddenly become number generators and give you all these harmonic numbers to go with anything you want. So if you like, there's a too difficult to explain, but basically the Pythagorean system generates through its little devices like the Pythagorean triangles more harmonic numbers, and it's just easy ways of getting to them. And okay, also we're going to see that if we look in the bottom right hand corner, that is a stellated heptagon. So 7-sided shape, stellated, like a pentagram would be. When you do that, you discover that these angles that we've been looking at, like the angle of the Earth and the ecliptic, and these Pythagorean right-angled triangles, are actually very, very close to these angles. I mean, so close you can't really see it with the eye. You just know it's different. Is the same as these angles that we've been talking about. It are all contained in that. And that 7-sided geometry belies the pyramids and Stonehenge and so many other things I couldn't, it's like a big secret of the occult.
There's a lot going on here. You've got you got the number 7.
So we've got the
axis, the angle of the axis of axial precession and against the rotation of the Earth on its axis. You got the
that's the pyramid.
Diagonal, the side of the Great Pyramid.
Yeah, and then that is a Kepler triangle. It's a Kepler triangle and a 3, 4, 5 triangle are like so close to each other. But that's the Kepler triangle in there, which is a 1 to the square root of phi to phi sides, which goes on the left. Actually,
I just called it a Pythagorean triangle.
Yeah, but it's not quite a Pythagorean. But again, it's in the book. I've realised that actually all of the magical triangles, as it were, square root 2 triangle, this triangle, there are other special triangles as well. They're all very similar to each other and all around this size. So that's what they're getting at. They're pulling everything together.
It's much of a muchness, They're
pulling the constants together, including Euler's numbers in there. As you know from the pyramids, Euler's numbers in there. But anyway, next slide, please.
Okay. So the actual cards have this geometry.
The actual cards. So for just the card itself, just the card is built, if we look on the right-hand side, from a series of 4 stacked Pythagorean right-angled triangles of 3, 4, 5 sides. Done. There you go. There's your mysteries all in one. Not only that, it's that the entire thing, the entire card, is built by in a 4x9, which is the same triangle as contained the axis of the Earth on that alchemical image. And the angle of his actual wand, his scribal wand, is at the angle of the Earth at 23.4 degrees. There's all of your mysteries in the first card in the index. So everybody that says it's not there, I love you all. I know it took me years and so many, revelations and so much thinking and studying to figure this stuff out. Yeah. But now I'm showing you, it's there at the beginning. It's not there where you're looking. These things are hidden in plain sight.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, like, how many times have you said to me, like, just in the last 2 hours now, look, there's a mushroom, or look, there's an angle, and it takes me a few seconds to,
It's all it is people haven't actually figured out how these things are encoded, or just too lazy. I mean, I know in my early career as a de-occultist that I was too lazy to look at astrology. I was too lazy to look at the maths stuff, because you're great at maths. I can tolerate it. It just, you are. Melissa, you're really good. But I can tolerate it. But, once I realised that, the maths is quite easy, how it's hidden in words and letters, and where's the geometry hidden? Well, it's hidden in the actual cards themselves. It's the background. It's it's the
amazing.
structure.
Everything is there, and it's just like, I'm going to take my card out again. That's held in the palm of your hand. That I presume this is the same again. Now this isn't like a modern one, but wow.
So we can go further.
Does that mean go to the next slide?
Yes, please.
Okay.
So I believe that the originator of this image on the right is John Michel. So what happens is when I'll do the quick version of this. When you add everything together, all these things that we're talking about, the triangles, the harmonies, the numbers, the ideas, the cosmology, the philosophy, you get to the end of it with this diagram. What's special about this diagram? Well, it's all those precessional numbers that we got from that wobble of the Earth's axis literally describe the size of the Earth, the size of the moon. It goes further than that, and the intervals, but it's again, this is why they call it the music of the spheres, that the geometry and mass itself and orbital periods and things like that of the cosmos are all interconnected because of some fundamental musical constant that we've not quite figured out. I'm pretty sure Dane will get there, though. He's on fire recently. So there we go.
Yeah, when you come back to this image, then after everything that you've shown, like it's amazing, and all this, like, that's like, I don't think any human created the size of the Earth or the size of the moon. Obviously, it's something that's natural or that's divine, however you want to see it. But those numbers are there. Now, obviously, it's also to do with the unit that was used to divide up these particular items.
Which is special, though, isn't it?
Yeah, the mile. Yeah,
as you well know, that there's something clearly magical in that inch and the foot.
Mm-hmm.
I know people will go foot. It's the foot, not the inch. But it's like there's all one system. Shut up, get on with it. Come on, let's work together. But yes, so this is what comes out of it. However, if we look not at the big circle of the Earth, but at the slightly smaller one in the center of the image at the bottom, we can see that actually those triangles are Pythagorean triangles, and actually the pyramid, that pyramid shape and those angles are absolute necessity to draw this diagram. You need to draw that pyramid to get the rest. As if we go on to the next image. Right, it's not easy to see on this, but you'll just have to take my word for it, that this same geometry is what draws the interior of the pyramids, apart from a couple of shafts, the famous Osiris and Isis shafts.
Yeah.
But actually, if you look at the Isis shaft, which is the one on the right, I believe, you'll actually see, although it doesn't actually follow a red line, it's not on a red line, but there is a red line that is parallel to it. So,
yeah, amazing.
Yeah, but all the rest of them, it's difficult to see because those shafts follow those red lines so perfectly that you can't tell one from the other. But just take my word for it. Here's a slightly different version. If you go to the next one, you can see a bit more easily. Like you can see
as well.
Yeah, if you follow, see where the main shaft going up is.
Yeah.
If you follow that, you'll see a green line follows all the way along it. There's one version. If you look at from that same origin point, the shaft that goes diagonally down, you see that green line follows upon it. Mm-hmm. And then you see where that, whatever's at the bottom of that shaft, that little structure ends where the pink line is. If you go to where ground level looks like it is, there's a green line that follows that. The sides of the pyramid are two pink lines that are from that pattern. The circle at the top, the yellow circle, fits into the inside perfectly. It's mapped that out, and I'm pretty sure you could fathom what shape those chambers that they found at the top of it are by looking at this. Yeah. So in the background of that image, you need to square a circle, which is have a square and a circle with the same perimeter and circumference. So looking at those things, there are two circles on there. And if we look at the two main rings of Stonehenge, we can see that they perfectly fit those two circles. You see a line running through those.
Yeah.
Might be difficult for you to see on a phone. The angles of the sarsen stones, the main big stones in the middle. I forgot what they're called. They follow those angles again. You'll notice the outside follows those angles. Inside's a slightly different story.
Yeah.
Because there are other shapes involved. But then it complexifies things too much for what I want to show you.
Yeah. I've seen I think Martin Dutre has done a heptagon analysis of the Stonehenge stones, and it fits amazingly.
Oh, does it? Oh, great! Can you plug me into that, please?
Yeah, Martin Dutre. He's New Zealand. I'll put the link underneath.
Wicked, thank you. I've tried not to look at other people's work. I just happened to come across John Michel's bit for the measurements, 2160, 1080, all that stuff. Okay, so if we go on to the next image, this is essentially what it is.
This is this amazing pattern.
So this, I've actually ended up calling it. I've ended up calling it the Ion Manifold. I might change that. It sounds a bit pretentious, but because the god Ion, it stands there with the 12 of the zodiac around him, and it's got 12 around it. It's not on here, but it's got 12 around it. And then he's got 7 in him, and it's a 7-sided pattern. And he's got the 4 directions, and it might even be an analogy. I'm not sure, but so I've called it the Ion pattern. So you can see within that on the left, we've got the pyramid, and on the right, people might know that as the philosophical philosopher's stone. That's what it. The geometrical philosopher's stone. Sorry, that's what it. That's what it is, and that's drawn in that pattern automatically. But next image. We're back to our friends. Most things in these secret arts, if you know what you're doing, is drawn with this pattern. People at home, you can look at that to your heart's content. You can see where the 7 planets are on the outside. There's a stick that goes, there's a line that goes in that direction. Yeah. Everything fits. Most of the things you're looking for, if it's not directly on a line, it's where 2 of the lines intersect. It'll give you a measure. That's how it's used. So not only is it on there, if we go on to the next thing. So actually, let's skip this one. But this is the Masonic keystone. That when you unwrap it, if you look on the bottom left, you make that trapezium from it. The riddle of the Sphinx solution trapezium just unfolds into it. And then also, if you take it as the keystone and put it into the pattern with the cuts that you'd make to unfold it, you can see, if you look at the pattern on the right-hand side, all those little dotted lines and dashed lines fit exactly. It's the pattern. It is that pattern.
So you could take bits and pieces from it, but then you can always recreate it. And somehow you've managed to recreate it. I don't know how you've done this. But
And what's brilliant in that pattern is that it's a fractal geometry called the golden trisection. So it's like the golden ratio, but in 3. So it's almost like you've got a length, a breadth, and a height, if you get me. So we're in 3 dimensions, if you want it to be. I was just talking about how the pattern's used. Either it's you're drawing on the lines itself, or using the 2 intersections of 2 intersecting lines to draw your measures. So this is a Masonic tracing board. But if you look in the right-hand image, where it's got a close-up, you can see where there's a little red circle is where 2 lines intersect. I draw a line down, and you can see where all those little things have been.
Yeah, it's really intricate.
Yes. So, if we go on to the next one. That was a Masonic. Yeah, so that was a Masonic tracing board from 1800 something. This is from 2500 BC and uses exactly the same principles and looks like that ancient. It's a weight, but it looks like that handbag, and it is getting at similar thing. That secret handbag contains 3 things: your stash, your drugs, the secret knowledge itself, and your saved energies.
Now they're solid. These things, they're completely solid. I saw one in the museum once, and I was wondering if it weighed a particular.
Yeah, they would have been
kilos or grains, but I unfortunately, it's very difficult to find out because they don't publish these things. So
As far as I can tell, that's exactly what it was. It was for markets, and it was just like, you're a bit posh or something if you've got this. You're a bit more upper class. Yeah. But what's amazing is, because this is drawn with the pattern in the same manner, and you can see just by looking at it, it's been drawn with that pattern.
Yeah.
They lay over each other. So in the top right, if you're at home just zooming or something, you'll see that where the lines are on the Masonic tracing board, the same lines are replicated in that giraffe handbag from 4,000 years previous. That's how old this tradition. We've got a trace of this tradition going on.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So you're showing like how old the whole system is, like at least as old as these handbags.
At least as old as that, yeah. I've found evidence of this on Göbekli Tepe. In fact, I might have the next slide, please.
Here we are. Mention the word.
Lo and behold, the structure of the pillars at Göbekli Tepe are this pattern.
So we're going back to, I think, 10,000 BC, right? Is that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's 12,000 years ago. So and or at the time of the deluge, or just after, or around that era, when I say deluge, I mean whatever cataclysm ended the previous epoch. So if we look at the left-hand image, we can see the square on the outside perfectly describes the square, as all squares do. But then we got an arc to the arc at the top of that handbag shape. The line, there's a vescipiscus in the middle of that helps you to draw the shape in the first place. You just draw a line over the top of that. That's the top of the handbag. The shapes and angles of these little legs. There's like a creature on the top right. And like look, it just fits. And if you look at the image on the actual right-hand image, which is the whole pillar in macro, as I said, it's fractal. So if you zoom it out, as long as it's between two lines, everything else will fractally measure up perfectly.
Yeah.
So all we did was put that little handbag inside the yellow circle at the top, and then everything else fits. You can see where there's a line that ends the handbags. There's a line that ends the little wavy lines at the top.
Yeah.
There's a line that ends the actual T part of the top pillar. The legs of that Scorpio there. The
implications of this design being around in 10,000 BC are huge. Yeah.
It gets huger though, Melissa. If we go to the next image,
no, a magician.
No, we can go back to the tarot, but basically I found it on cave walls 40,000 years ago. I've literally found it that old. So if that's true, and as unbelievable as it sounds, found people are searching for an Atlantean technology from this side. I've got it. I've literally got the bloody thing. It's pretty showable at Göbekli Tepe. It's a little more like that on the cave walls, but not much. Like, not by much. So I think a proper paper needs writing on it at some point. But let's get the bloody book in. So no, this was a secret tradition back then. It's wrapped up with the cosmology. All these sites I've shown you are cosmological, as above, so below, from Göbekli Tepe to Stonehenge to the pyramids to the tarot. So now we can see that Le Batelier, as he's known by now, he's defined by this shape. Obviously, I've zoomed in and made it easier. If you just look at his wand is following a green line. The bottom of everything's delineated by these lines. It is. Look, I found this pattern in the tarot. So. Sorry, that's not quite true. I found this pattern whilst looking for for something in the tarot. I found it somewhere else, but I was looking for it in the tarot. So his wand is actually at the correct angle for the Earth again. Everything's there. So let's take that as granted. Do it to your heart's content. Here it is on the Fool in the same deck. If you go on to the next image. Here it is on the Fool on the same deck. Those dots now that we looked at right at the beginning are the points of that heptagram. It's actually a 14-sided shape, not 7. It's just that it gets complex to show when it's 14. Yeah. Osiris was cut into 14 pieces. Amazing things happen when you take 360 degrees, divide it by 14. If you times it by 14, you get 50-40, Plato's favorite number. Yeah, and hyperharmonic. So the tarot is drawn to this. If we go on the next image, I think the way they're drawing it is that they got a matrix and then they're drawing these lines to that matrix. Yeah. Now we can see how old that matrix is. So if we look at the next image, please, we're very nearly done. So it's been there from the beginning. We can see on the fool there. It's quite difficult to see. I appreciate that. But if we look at the fool on the left, follow his stick, where his hand is, the lines of his body, the lines of his left arm. It's all there. It's even easier on the next image. If you look at le fou there in the center image, like follow his stick in his hand perfectly on that line. Follow the weird shape of his bottom. It's a really weird shaped card. The whole deck's kind of weirdly shaped.
Yeah, but the same angles, the same proportions.
Yeah, his forearm follows the line. Everything, his chin, everything. Obviously, if it's a curved line, it's not going to stay along the straight line. That's the nature of a curve, but it will meet at the point at the end. And if we look at the Fool from the Aleister Crowley deck on the right, it becomes really obvious then because it's so geometrical. But if you look at his legs perfectly, if you look at where his arms are coming out, perfect. Right? There's nothing to say that isn't drawn by that.
No, that's a great bit. And like that, but the whole angle is so odd, but this just explains it.
Yeah. It's a secret tradition brought from our most ancient ancestors, kept by the magicians and exposed when you know how to look at these symbols. If you go on to the next image, this ain't an easy one, but again, I've shown how you could take that's 14-sided geometry and just quite easily map all this out for any artists out there. Not that interesting to look at, but let's skip to the next image if you don't mind. You could just look at the parasol on that, or the Cupid character at the top. Yeah. There you go. And then the next one, the cross. This again, most of these are from that first deck. Again, we can see in the crossing of those two trumpets. There you go.
I can think when you see the things like the wands and the sticks and all of these things like the flutes or the pipes, whatever they are.
They're the easiest things to follow because they're straight lines. Now, what we have here, even though I didn't get it at the time, and this was like the pinnacle of the book that I've just authored, that in the Grail law, in the Templar law, in the Enochian law in general, and Enoch was the last of the pre-flood patriarchs, that they have visions of this heavenly city, often called the New Jerusalem. This pattern's called the New Jerusalem pattern. When the Templars had done the stuff in Jerusalem, they brought 8 lots of treasure back, 8 cases of treasure back. The only thing they stopped off to have anything to do with was one piece of the treasure, which was a diagram of a castle called the Heavenly Jerusalem. And it was copied, and we still have it. And when you look at that diagram, it's the pattern. It's a badly drawn, it's a shitty castle. But when you put the pattern over it, it's like, it's the pattern. They're bringing back this. This is the most important thing the Templars had. And there you go, on the last of the tarot cards, this is the Heavenly Jerusalem, put to the pattern. And it's the Templar, it's the Fisher King's castle. A lot of these tarot cards of this, it's called the World, or Mundus, or Monday, or whatever it is. You'll see the Fisher King fishing in the motor on the outside, so they're actually invoking the Arthurian legends into the earliest of tarot cards because it's the same thing. Ezekiel has a vision of the heavenly city. Solomon builds it.
I got so many questions. I don't know where to start. I don't want to stop your flow either. But like Fisher King,
I think that is the
Celtic world, Arthur.
anytime you see a heavenly city, I think it's this same tradition. I think it's this same, and they say it is to rebuild civilization after a disaster. It's got all the fundamental parts in there. It's got your measures, your weights and measures. It's got this pattern in there to build structures. I think what it really is because there's a 12, a 4, a 7. There's a 6 in there as well. I just don't bring that to the fore because it gets complicated. But this is a way to bridge between those numbers if you're making measurements or doing things, and also there's something going on here I don't understand. It's so venerated. There's something I don't quite understand, I'm sure, but I know something about it, and that is that the triangles within it unite all the constants from Euler's constant to the square root of 2, phi ratio. It unites them all. And it unites them weirdly under that number of 25,920. But before I start sounding like our good friend Saturn Rooster Dane, just spewing off numbers as if it's real language, I'll bring myself back to you. So there's a final little section that I've already shown you previously. But if do you want to go through that now, or do you have some questions? It'll take 5 minutes and then we're done.
Let's go with what you have. Next slide.
Yeah, next slide.
Should I maybe put a light on? I'm wondering.
You're getting a bit dark.
That is not an improvement. That's terrible.
Yeah.
That's
some
fine.
colour on the cheeks. Right. So I relate these secrets mostly to Mithraism. Now, you can follow a line from the Manichaeans, the Bogomils, the Cathars, through to northeast Italy as a line. Or, as I said, there were lots of manuscripts coming into northeast Italy. So some of them might have been quite Mithraic. However, I would say that what Mithraism is especially good at is explaining that cosmology into a mystery tradition. This cosmology that we've been talking about, into that mystery tradition. They've just taken it and gone like that. So it might be that Mithraism is particularly good at explaining it, or it might be that it's actually the largest stream of knowledge has come from Mithraism. I'm not quite sure. There's certainly, here I've put it here. If you look in the Mithras liturgy, which is more than likely Mithraic, if not just inspired by it, but they have a procedure where they go through, they say, like, you turn into a star, you go past the moon into a funnel through the sun. This is the actual mystical ascent that they're going through. Remembering that Enoch is a mystical ascender. All these characters are mystical ascenders that come to know the works of the wheels. And Rota, is the work of the wheels. So you become a star. You go through the moon. You go actually through a funnel in the sun. Through a trumpet, can you see? Is it Gabriel or Michael? I think Michael blows a trumpet at the end. But with a big trumpet on Judgment. You go through this funnel trumpet, is described as, through to the other side, and there you will meet, first you meet Sol Mithras, then you'll meet Mithras. And they're both dressed up like mushrooms. But anyway, so that ascent, which is really Mithraic, but you're going through this cosmology. Well, it's there, and it's in order in the tarot. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But apart from that, now previously, if you go to the next image, oh, sorry, can I just highlight before you go anywhere that the final card, which often has that heavenly Jerusalem image on there, in this sequence, you've got the lion, the bull, the eagle, and the man. We've talked about the riddle of the Sphinx. But she's holding two poles. She's holding two poles. The ecliptic and the earth pole. Like, that's the secret. She's surrounded by a laurel wreath, which is two things. It's Draco that goes around the outside. Often on the world card, they've just drawn Draco. A laurel wreath you'd got for winning. You put it on top of your head, the crowning of achievements. But why laurel? Well, you chewed it and got off your head. It was a drug. Laurel was a drug.
Yeah, that's right. I think I heard that before. Okay, so that's again, it's sort of substituting the mushrooms, I guess.
Yeah, well, it's the mushroom, especially the red one, is iconographically beautiful. It's probably the most notable of all species in nature. Can you think of a more? Not if I say forest, first thing you read isn't a tree. It's probably that thing. You know what I mean? I mean, it's not. It's probably trees, but you get me. Do you think trees?
Absolutely.
You think trees is a homogeneous mass, but you think that mushroom.
Yeah.
So, if we go to the next
we
image,
have the same thing again. Okay. Yeah.
Sorry, what were you going to say, Melissa?
No, go on. I don't want to stop your flow.
Right. So, you and I have spoken about this briefly before. Now, we have the pole star, and around that spins the plough, and that's probably the swastika. I'm certain it's the swastika, but I think there's a second swastika. So that swastika is at the top of the pole star, the plough. The second one is at the top of the ecliptic. That has its natural pole. The ecliptic's a disc, a plane on which all the planets spin. That's got its top of the spinning top. Where's that? Well, it's only 23.5 degrees off the other one.
Mm-hmm.
And it's in Draco. It's in the coils of Draco. Now, when you look at medieval images of Draco, you might see intimations to there being two things kept in the coils of Draco. Well, those are these two poles. And obviously, a serpent on a pole. It's always serpent on a pole. It's this ancient science. So if we look there on the left, we can see Ursa Minor, which is the other plough, the smaller plough, which really goes around the pole star, which isn't very visible to the naked eye. But then we've got Draco. Okay? If we remove those and look at the center image, we can see they're actually a series of bright stars that make a natural asterism over that pole region.
Yeah.
And I've drawn that on the right-hand side. This was originally found out by a guy called Reza Asasi, who I like to say has got the coolest name in the world ever. So from a man's perspective. So he's drawn this swastika, and I'm like, whoa, so much meaning comes into play there. And it's like, you know, I'm totally with you. I totally agree that's there, you know, and it's an obvious asterism, and it's doing the same thing as the plough. That's amazing. So if we go on to the next image, what Reza Asasi realized, because he was studying Mithraism, was that if you took that constellation and put it over Mithras, over any Tauroctony, all over the good Tauroctonies, it details the Tauroctony. As we know, you know.
So all these stars fit.
Well, yeah. I mean, look at his eyes for a start. Look at where the eye of the bull would be.
That's kind of spooky.
Yeah, and then if you look down his back, particularly where the poles are, where his mouth and his eyes are, I'm like, whoa, Reza Asasi, that's amazing work. Yeah. Congratulations. It all fits in because, you know, Mithraism is notoriously wrapped up with precession of the equinoxes. That slaying of the bull seems to be something of an analogy, although it's about mushrooms and slaying the ego and other things. But the Pleiades being that mushroom that we talked about before with Orion. But anyway.
Well, Sol Invictus is stronger than the sun, so I guess you could say it's precession.
Yeah, he is Sol Invictus, yeah. Sol's Sol. You don't need to give him another name. Mithras is Sol Invictus, and the unconquerable sun is the black sun that powers the sun. He's the hypercosmic sun that shines that life force through the cosmos. He is the point at which the Empyrean realm breaks into reality. The black sun. Right, so if we go on to the next one, because this is going to my promise. If we then take the original, the cards of the tarot, and take the magician card, who is something of a Perseus. So if we look at the center one, I know these aren't the greatest images, but I took those two stars that were over Perseus' eyes and put them over the magicians of several decks, starting with the original deck in the center there. His eyes fit. It just describes everything. It describes the corners of his table, the broad sweep of his clothes, and not only that. And I wish I'd put it on here, but I didn't. I don't think I discovered it when I did this presentation. If you look at the magician card of of some of the early French decks when he's Le Bateleur and he's holding that little stick there over his card table with the dice and whatever on there. That the end of his pole, that one, the top of his pole, because can you see he's doing, if you look at his pose, he's doing a swastika. He's doing a swastika pose in that card. See his arms and you know, and his head and that. And well, the end of that star, like this. Yeah, and the end of that pole is the pole star. When you overlay that map of stars by the eyes, just putting those two eyes as it was with Mithras, the end of Le Bateleur's battalion is the pole star. Is the pole star.
A lot going on in this card.
Isn't there? Well, it's
the index card. No, but I totally agree. That's it, because you've got that motion of that's like he's going like this.
Yeah, I can send you a picture afterwards of it. But but that's what he's doing. So that is a secret. Nobody knows about that. Nobody knows it's in the tarot. There's only Resurfaced discovered that. It just so happened that I found his work very compelling, and just some mystical feeling in me went, put it over the tarot cards. Mm-hmm. Well, also because a lot of tauroctonies are made with that pattern as well. In fact, some of my strongest examples of artwork being using that pattern is the tauroctony. Like, it's really nice, clean lines. And there you go. That's the end of my presentation. So for anybody that watches this, the whole point was, did tarot evolve into the symbology? No, actually, it's just more expressed. It's just there's people have understood those original symbols and the implication of those symbols. They've made, they've expressed them more. They've brought them out. They've put their own little teases on there. But the tarot, you just don't know what you're looking at.
The tarot cards are constantly evolving, especially now with all these beautiful new images being created by various artists, but at the same time there's this constant, and it's not like, as you've shown, even in the earliest cards, there's a really ancient tradition of astronomy, of geometry, of numbers, and possibly music that's being expressed in the images.
The most ancient tradition, and it's a secret tradition, and it seems to be highly scientific. Yeah. If not a little right-brained. It seems to indicate some kind of a secret to the universe that I've still not got my head around. I don't think anybody has got their head around. There's some fundamental that we're all missing. It's got something to do with that.
To preserve a little mystery.
It's something to do with that 3-4-5 triangle, though. I'm almost sure of that. Again, it's this gut feeling that I get, that when I follow it, I get to the end of it and get my answers.
Yeah, well, those ratios are really important, like the 3-4 and the 4-5. Those ratios are really important.
Oh yeah, it's music. It's music.
Yeah, and then when you unravel it, you got 3 + 4 + 5. There's a lot going on, as you showed. Like, you can generate all these numbers from the Pythagorean triangles and triplets. It's just incredible. Like, it really is. When you I think what you found is amazing. What's been created is amazing. And when you put the two together, it's just mind-boggling. I feel like that guy in the picture who had his little head peering out through the end of the, what do you call it? The end of the rainbow.
The firmament.
The limits of the firmament, exactly. Yeah. We're peering through. I feel like we're peering through, but like it's very mysterious still, of course.
We are doing that. Mm. You can do it internally with consciousness, and you can do it with this work that we're all engaged with the ancient metrology. That seems to be it's not, I think, because it's evidence and it's material somewhat. Obviously, it's mind imposed on matter. Measurements are a thing of mind imposed on matter. However, we think that's what it is, but it's not. It's something more like looking for constants. They're looking for constants, and they are. I think they found some constant that is the root of all this musical stuff. I just can't quite figure it out. Much like phi ratio, Euler's number, Euler's number, sorry, things like that.
But whatever the case, like on the one hand, you can think about the history of tarot and thinking about the Renaissance and maybe the Dante and everything, and then you can think about placing that particular time in this really, really ancient history that goes way back, and there's this continuity that it's so surprising, really. Like, first of all, that it exists, then there's this unbroken chain. I mean,
I think there's something of an unbroken chain. Probably because they were building monuments with it. Mm-hmm. So as long as somebody still understands, you wouldn't even have to understand the monument, but know that monument is something like the pyramid, which is encoded with all this stuff. And if you can look at it and measure it, it's self-extracting. Because all the best symbols are set to a standard, they become self-extracting. You understand one thing, you understand that the tarot is based on Pythagorean number symbolism. Everything else starts to extract from that.
Mm-hmm.
Simple.
Yeah. And so you quoted the Bible. We talked about Timaeus. You can look into the Vedas. There are hints in lots of different texts. And even though they're not images, some of these elements are there as well. So I suppose there are so many places that you can go looking for all these things, like the numbers, the astronomy, the principle of observing the stars and thinking about the unmoved mover and everything in motion and time.
Yeah. Can I ask you a question? Why do you think, considering the impact of occultists, and I mean like Rosicrucians and the Royal Society, these kind of occultists, top echelon guys, and they've been everywhere all the time. Da Vinci's another one, Why is it that modern historians ignore it all? Why is it so poo-pooed when it's clearly had such an impact? The Renaissance itself, the Italian Renaissance, was started because they rediscovered the Hermetica and stuff like that. And it was this, they were looking for this they were looking for this knowledge. That's what they were looking for. So why is it dismissed by modern historians?
Well, for a start, I don't think there are many ways of looking at the evidence like you've done here. You've presented the evidence so clearly. Like, you've presented images, you've presented the geometry, the astronomy, and you've made the connections really clearly. But I don't think there are that many ways of making those connections. So it's much easier to dismiss. Because basically, why is anything ever dismissed? Because you don't know, but you don't understand it, or you don't really know much about it. So you just kind of push it to one side and continue pretend it doesn't exist. But it's a good question. Why does this? I don't think it's going to be the case for much longer, because now we're in an age where information is much more freely, available. Obviously, the internet, and I think people can inform themselves a little bit more. And there's going to be much, much more like this. But then, of course, there's that sense of, that kind of Wikipedia mindset where you shut things down. Like everything has to belong to a particular worldview.
Yeah.
You're mechanistic, and it's like, either you agree with us or you're a pseudo-historian, you're a pseudo-scientist, you're a pseudo-this, you're a pseudo-that. And there's obviously a lot of bad feeling.
Well, I think what's good about this is that you can say, look, it doesn't matter what the current paradigm is. This was their cosmology. This is what they believed. And they did, historically, we know that. This might be a better understood esoteric reading of that, but it's still that same cosmos. So we can just start with, well, they believe that, and then lead them on to, oh, by the way, there's all these numbers. It's all real. There's something going on here. They've understood something, even though the symbols might be right-brained somewhat. The information underneath it is ultimately left-brained.
Yeah.
Thankfully for us, because then we're not raving idiots. If we can go, okay, science people, it's maths and geometry, it's Euclid.
Yeah, I mean, what a coincidence that we're going down some weird arty route, and what do we find? Maths and geometry, astronomy.
Thank you, universe.
What's your explanation? Why is it ignored?
I think there's a certain amount of powers that be for a good while, secret societies, top echelons, this stuff was known and still is known. just less so and less so. I think it's a knee-jerk reaction to, you know, if a policeman comes home and says, actually, boss, tonight I did my patrol and a UFO landed and took me off in a flying saucer. No one's gonna, you know, people are like, no, stay away. You might have been telling the truth. You might be able to reveal new technologies from a civilization billions of light years away. But his boss is just going to reject him straight away and not even look at it because of that association. And I think because, particularly tarot, you think fortune telling woo.
That's another thing. Yeah, the association with things that are considered like just beyond the pale, like fortune telling and all that sort of thing. Yeah.
Which again,
any favors.
I'm great. Well, look, I started this thing off with a drug trip, so that wouldn't do me any favors either. However, what did me a favor was that the universe interceded and gave me those pillars with the Sator square on them. You know, the ones that I'm writing my book about, the Templar pillars. So there was that, which have all this same information on there. It has a Leo the Lion. It has a Wheel of Fortune on there. It has a deity holding the angle of a stick to the axis of the earth. It's got everything. Every image on there is drawn with that same pattern. Yeah. So it's
all part of this tradition. Well, so let's finish on your book then. So you're writing this amazing book. You've got illustrations, some of them illustrations I've seen. How's it coming along?
It's nearly done, but the closer I get to it being done. Sorry, I've got 10% left on my phone, by the way. So
I'm conscious that we've only been speaking for just over 2.5 hours. So we should probably
So what was your question? Sorry, I've totally forgot what you said.
The book. Is it like when can we talk about your book?
You are going to be one of the first people to get it, but you're going to have to read it in a PDF because I've spent all my savings trying to write the bloody thing, so I've got nothing left to publish. But the book is very nearly done. I want to write up a bit of Dane's work in there. If Matt's able to move a finger, shout out, Matt. Glad to see that you're covering. And put a bit of Matt's in there. If you've got anything that you might want to add in there, I'll let you have a go as well. But it's essentially done. I just need to read through it all one more time.
Fantastic.
Write 2 pages and a conclusion, and that's it. But I've got drawings to do yet, though. Got like 3 or 4 of those.
Well, it's going to be amazing. Can't wait. So, listen, thank you so much for your time. You really were amazing. So, well done on all your amazing work. It's just, okay, it really is, I don't know what to say. Like, fantastic, mind-boggling, I don't know. But yeah, thanks. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I do like that. I enjoy seeing people's minds blown. It blew my mind every time I've discovered something, you know? So...
Yeah. If only you could see the faces of people watching this video, hopefully.
Well, what I used to do was in the early days of showing all this stuff, when it was on the Amish Inquisition podcast, which is local to me in Preston, I'd go on there and then I'd watch it back the day after, and I'd just see Phil, the host's brain, just go kaboom, and then kaboom.
What I love about Phil is his laugh. Every time there's something amazing is revealed to him. This amazing laugh. He's great.
Yeah, I love Phil. He's a great guy.
Yeah. All right. Well, listen, I'll let you have your evening. It's probably dinner time now almost. So, thank you so much, Ryan.
No, we don't have dinner time. We have tea time. I live in the north.
Sorry. My mistake.
Good. You're talking down on my culture. Right. Cool. Well, enjoy the rest of your evening too, and thanks for having me.
Thank you so much, Ryan, and we'll talk again when your book's ready.
Well, I want you on my channel as well, so everybody out there, look out for me interrogating.
I'll see when I can spare in 3
Melissa.
hours or so.
Yeah, no, it'll be after Christmas anyway. All right.
Sounds great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you, everybody. Goodbye.
Bye.